All right, and we're live. Well, as live as we're going to be. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to the Temple Podcast. My name is Eddie Pasquale, licensed massage therapist and martial artist. I'm sitting here with Logic Thompson, who is a very, very old friend and the most talented artist I have ever met in my life. 100%. We met at an interesting time, and I think that it's important to know how we met each other because I was 21, right? I was 20, 21. You said, like 21, 22. You had told me you were 23, but you were really like 19 or 20, right? Because you wanted to like seem cool and be older, and then you let it slip like a year later. And we were in tech school at Lincoln Tech in Whitestone, Queens. We both thought we were going to be mechanics, and now neither of us are mechanics.
Yeah.
Well, I was for a little while. You worked on electric cars for like 2 months, and then said no.
No. I was like an oil tech for like, I want to say maybe like 4 to 6 months, and then I ruined a car, and they told me to get out.
And that was the end of your automotive career.
That was the end of it.
A year of school, dude. School was a good time though. School was a lot of fun,
dude. If the only thing I did at school was meet you, it was a great time.
Oh, absolutely.
Honestly.
We became best friends. We hung out all the time.
Yeah,
that's what we would do. We would chill, exchange music, and get fried chicken from Chinese food places.
It was legitimately one of my favorite times.
Yeah, absolutely. It was one of the best times. And we saw Rah Rah Riot in the city in Brooklyn.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we used to just you used to just tell me, hey, we're coming to Brooklyn. And I'd be like, okay, let's go.
Yeah. Like, all right, like I'm on my way to the city. Like, what are we doing? I'm on my way. Like, you have 2 seconds to decide whether you want to meet me or not, because you have to get on a train right now. Like that's my life. Yeah.
You're bringing back so many memories right now.
What about the rave we tried to get into that we couldn't get into?
Oh, because it was like what was it? Like it was about to end, but it was like 4 a.m. or something.
Yeah, and we were idiots, and we thought it was like midnight. And we're like, no, it's a rave right now. It's gonna go on, and they're like, no, dude, raves end. Like
they were like, no, this is. But then they said in like 3 hours another one was gonna start, and I'm like, this is crazy.
But I had work in the morning, and then we discovered you showed me halal food.
I showed you halal food?
That was that halal truck we got that night at like 4:30 in the morning. It was the first time I'd ever had halal food. I had chicken over rice, and my life was drastically changed, like forever. Drastically changed.
Dude, complete lifesaver, man. Complete lifesaver so many times in my entire life of living in New York City. Like,
so I love your story, and everybody who's watching right now or who's listening right now, stay tuned because Terry is a person who, I'm sorry, Logic Thompson, I let your name drop.
I mean, listen,
okay. It's not a secret.
You know me by my real name.
Yeah.
If to the listeners out there, if you call me by my real name in public, I might look at you, and if I don't recognize you, I'm not gonna answer. so it's Logic Thompson.
you were a tax collector. You were about to serve me some papers, and I'm not talking to you. I don't know who that person is. Yeah, Logic Thompson on Instagram at Captain Logic. That's really your hub for most of your work, right? Do you have a website?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
I do have a website right now.
I do have a website right now. It's areyoudying.show.com or .co. I don't remember if it's .co or .com. Figure it out.
That's all right. Yeah, you guys, if the shit doesn't work, you type in co and then try again. You know.
I think it's .com though. I think that is what we settled on. We're working on some other stuff though, and I think that's .co, and that's probably what I'm getting mixed up with.
I had to go with templewellness.net because somebody owns templewellness.com and isn't using it.
You gotta buy them out, man.
Contact them and buy. Yeah, no, that's okay. Maybe if this suddenly blows up, and I'll go for the .com. You'll
be surprised.
Or I'll do templepodcast.com and have a separate website.
Right.
Just the podcast. Right now we're working with the bare minimum, like we were saying before. Like, here I am live from my girlfriend's backyard. You know what I mean? Like, that's literally what we're working with.
Word.
But so when we were in school together, so young bucks, 20, 21 years old, in school together, Logic would make money, be like, I don't have any lunch money. Oh, hold on. Who wants a sticker for their shit? Okay. What do you want on it? Oh, you want Boba Fett's helmet? Hold on. I'm going to draw you the sickest Boba Fett's helmet you've ever seen. And then would just do like mail stickers. Like you had like a reel of the Postal Service mail stickers.
Yeah. I mean, I used to be a graffiti artist.
Yeah.
I used to be a graffiti artist. So like one of the things that you would have to do, like when I say have to do, like the graffiti culture, like at least back then was, if you didn't have cool stuff in your book, then like nobody cared, like nobody cared that you did graph unless you were good, or at least you were trying to be good. You know what I mean? So the postal service has a million stickers for like sending packages just sitting in the post office. So you just walk in, you take 50, you leave, and you just draw on every single one, and that's how you get around. I started realizing that people actually liked people who weren't graffiti artists liked my art, and that I should probably sell it to them for different. And then sometimes I didn't have some money, so it's like, hey, why not? Why not get $5 off of this? Why not get $20 off of it?
Oh yeah, we were both definitely seriously broke in those days. The two of us were definitely seriously broke. I was very broke.
Because we were
we were kids.
Yeah, but we're between life paths. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
we're studying something that maybe we want to do. Like we're not even really.
Seems like a good idea. Only takes a year. You know what I mean?
Oh, those guys make money. Right. So you're doing it for that.
Oh, and not to mention that they sold us down the river. They're like, oh yeah, you're gonna be making $85 an hour. You're gonna be making $90 an hour working for BMW, working for Mercedes, working for this and working for that. Da. And not a soul. I mean, I'm friends with most of these people on Facebook still. I'm not going to call anybody out by name, but I know, like, nobody is actually a mechanic. Like, nobody. Maybe one person, and that was the dude that even after they graduated was like, this is what I do, and I'm going to be the best damn mechanic I'm going to be. But that's because you got to find your passion. You know what I mean? You got to find a thing you're passionate about. You've always been passionate about art, but what is society? And this is important people to tell us. What does society tell you? They tell you that it's not going to work out, that you can't find a job doing it.
My whole life.
That it's ridiculous what you're doing, or cute picture or whatever, or that's good for you, But no, you had the hustle. You had art shows in your friends' basements. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think a big part of that is just my rebellious nature. Like I come from a Jamaican family. So, if you know anything about Jamaicans, they all have 3 jobs. So it's like I was the one who had like half a job, I guess, to everybody, because it's like, oh, he's drawing pictures. And we know that people buy art sometimes, but like, how is he going to make a living off of that? So it was just always that. Like I wanted to make cartoons. Like that was my whole thing. Like I wanted to be an animator. I wanted to do stuff for Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, stuff like that. And my parents and my family members and, just like a lot of the older people that we knew were always just like, hey, that's cool, but no, you should totally do something else. And, for a long time, I believed them, and it was hard. As passionate as I was, it was hard to be as passionate as I honestly probably wanted to, because I had to reserve some of that energy to looking into other things so that I looked good for my family members. But then at some point, I guess I just got fed up, and I was just like, hey, no, I'm not doing anything else. And I just dove into it, man. I dove into it head first, and it's been for better or worse ever since.
The thing I feel about like parents and family and naysayers is like people talk smack until they don't.
Right.
You know what I mean? People talk smack until they realize that like they don't have a leg to stand on, because you really are who you say you are. And it takes years. Dude, everybody was like, quit kung fu, go do jujitsu. You're not learning this. You're not learning that. How come you haven't fought in the cage yet? How come you this? How come you that? And all of a sudden they put a black belt on me. And it's like, oh, dude, where's your school? How can I train with you? You look like a badass. You know what I mean?
God,
I had to lose a little bit of weight. I had to look a little bit more in shape. And all of a sudden, now that the aesthetic is there, because I decided to stop eating hoagies and smoking cigarettes, you know what I mean? Like, once I made my health a focus and my body changed to what I was trying to do, and the look was, and like looked a little bit better, and my technique started to look a little bit better all of a sudden. So that's the same thing. It's like martial arts is, and you have experience there too. Martial arts is a testament to how putting time into something has payoff, because you look like, a monkey fucking a coconut for the first like 6 years you're training, and then all of a sudden your stuff starts to come together. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, now your forms or your katas or whatever you call them in your system, like whatever you're doing, all of a sudden it starts to take shape. your
Yeah, man.
Mabu, your horse stance starts to look good, and people are like, oh, you know. And it's the
Dude,
same thing with your art. Your art's always been good, but you created a brand around Are You Dying? You
yeah,
had an
well,
idea and created a brand around it, and people recognized your work, and that gave them like I feel like it gives people a front door kind of into the rest of your work, like the hair series. I think the hair series is my favorite thing you've done.
oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It's the favorite thing of a lot of people. It's funny, like, Are You Dying happened by accident, honestly. Like, it was in a weird way, like you say, like, I made a brand out of it, and I did, but I make a brand out of everything. It's just the way that art happens for me. Funny enough, the certifications that we got at this mechanic school for like auto stuff got me an advertising job. Like, so so
It's like,
listen to
hey,
this.
you finished something. You know?
Right, exactly. So I was an artist already. I had been working for the company handing out like flyers and stuff, like doing like just regular like in between jobs because, hey, my parents weren't wrong about everything. Like, art doesn't pay frequently. Like, you do have to end up doing other things sometimes, and while I was learning that lesson, yeah, I was handing out flyers for like Metro PCS. You know what I mean? Like, I was, dressed up as stuff, waving at people, telling them to go in the store. Like that little dumb stuff. The little stupid jobs. But like,
spinning a sign or some shit.
hey man, it is what it is because you just need it when you need it. But
Yeah.
the more I talked to people and the more that they saw who I was, and then I had a friend who was in upper management and she put me on, and I met the president and I talked to him about some ideas that I had, and he found out I could draw and I could design stuff, and he was like, whoa, we need somebody up here who can do that. So boom. And they were selling like vehicle stuff to people. Like, we're going to deck out this vehicle with all your brand merchandise and send it somewhere and sell to people. So when they were telling me that that's what they were doing, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. And then I sat down and looked at their stuff and I was like, yo, let's do this. I didn't have a lot of fun at that company, but I learned a lot. So,
yeah.
in a weird way, like, things shifted. And so it put me on a path to start thinking, and not even start thinking more, because I didn't think I was already thinking that, but to realize that I could get paid for the ideas that create the art. Like, a lot of people only see the finished product, but it's the whole process is something that people go to consulting for. So I was like, oh, I could do this. I'd do this in my sleep all day. So yeah. Spun it around and started doing something new. Yeah, it was cool.
Can you talk about the company that you work for, or is that not something you should talk about?
I could. So you can't find us yet. Don't worry about that.
So don't say anything yet, because this will drop before that does.
Yeah, exactly. Follow my Instagram, and you're going to see a lot over the next couple of years, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Perfect. See, that was a natural plug. Plug. I set that one up, and you knocked it out of the park. Follow his Instagram at Captain Logic. I don't edit my stuff right now, like this kind of stuff.
Dude, I totally feel
no computer. I do a little bit, but like to sift through 2 hours for me right now at this point in the game is like too much. So I put a cap on, I put a beginning, and I put an end. Maybe I'll consider like flashing at Captain Logic on the street. Right. Boom, 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 boom. I want to get into the edit. I need a young Jamie. You know what I mean?
Right.
I need my own young Jamie that can do all this shit.
Hey man,
one day.
It's a process. You got to be good enough at this side, and then someone will be like, "Yo, man, can I?" Someone will pull up.
What'll end up happening is I'll get like an investor that's like, "Hey, we like how you talk to people. We like how you ask questions. We like how you answer the XYZ." So, but the thing is, I especially wanted to have you on because I don't like when people have their dreams kind of, crushed for years. And I like that you always found a way. You know what I mean? No matter what anybody said to you, you still did what you had to do. You still worked a job and then did art at night, hanging out with your friends. And are you still doing music?
Yeah, randomly. It's pretty random still. I'm actually just now going through the discography of stuff that I've made over the last couple of years.
There's too many names, man. You gotta pick a name.
Dude, no. It's all Logic Thompson now. It's all Logic
Thompson. It's not Nobu anymore.
No.
Find Nobu, because that track was awesome.
Thank you. I have a couple songs with other people where I'm Nobu on it, and it's like that's funny, and that's like a little Easter egg, and I'm just gonna leave it as that. But
All
everything
right,
else
so everybody
is
go
gonna
search
be.
SoundCloud for that right now. Um,
Actually, yeah, my SoundCloud is up.
yeah,
Um,
look, Nobu and
hey,
Hannibal,
hey,
right?
kids, there's
Hannibal.
curses. Hey, kids, there's
Yeah.
curses.
Hey kids. Hey, I mean, hey kids. I curse too, but I curse just enough that your mom goes, "I say that shit too." You know what I mean? Like, it's nothing you haven't heard before. It's 2020.
Don't tell
But
them that.
I'm all about growing and being responsible and XYZ. You know, but I'm also
Right.
about being real with people. And
Yeah.
reality is, every now and then, you know, words aren't as well, certain words, but you know, words aren't as detrimental as people think that they are. You know, some swears are good
Mm.
for expression.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
I mean, you know what? At the same time, I feel like I'm learning a lot that words are powerful, you know? So
words are
it's
super
also
powerful, but I'm
words are
saying
super powerful.
but there's nothing
Words
wrong
can change somebody's day.
but there's nothing wrong with also laughing or not
Yeah.
being super serious 100%
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
time
yeah.
too. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? I know
Absolutely.
some people that
Absolutely.
are just like up in arms 100% of the time, and
Right.
about
And it's
on every single side of the spectrum,
mm.
far right, far left, adamant, militant, center, you know, like
Neutral.
centrist. I'm
Neutral.
so neutral, I have to talk about how neutral everybody else should be. You know, it's crazy. Guys,
uh,
relax. Everybody needs to just take a chill pill every now and then and just
dude.
chill out. Do some
Yeah, man.
exercises and get it out of your system. Hit some
Hell
baths, you
yeah.
know what I mean?
I started running in the morning. I wanted to do that for years, and it's like I finally can do it. You know,
How
it's
you
weird.
feel?
Dude, I feel great. Whenever I run, I feel like the rest of my day is so long. Like it's almost like it's I know it's not. Like I know it's the same amount of hours in a day, but it almost like artificially makes my mind think that so much time has passed because I actually did something physical like in the morning. So it like sets
You
me
feel
up.
like accomplished.
Yeah, it sets so like by 10 o'clock, I feel like, whoa, it's only 10 o'clock. That's crazy because I've done so much, you know?
And that's an awesome point to make, because so many people don't want to get out of bed, or they want to sleep in, or they look so forward to the day when
Mm,
they get to sleep in, and it's like, why are you sleeping in?
right.
Why are you going to
Cause,
throw a day of your life away? You know?
cause you know what else I realized though? Like this quarantine has been crazy in its own right because like me being forced to be home is different. Like me staying home because I'm like, hey, I want to stay home or I don't want to do something today, that's one thing. But me being home because I can't go outside has made me really inspect my space in a lot of different ways. And it's made me really think about what I do all day. Like, not for nothing, I have this creative director job now is amazing that I'm even in a place to be able to do something like this. I was driving for Uber before all of this. Because
Oh,
once
yeah.
again, because once again, you know, you're just doing art, trying to make that work. And yeah, I was doing shows. I had larger shows planned. I had all kinds of things that I had set up. And I have a lot of people looking at my stuff who really like my stuff. So I was, you know, waiting for it to blow up, you know, but just trying to make ends meet in the meantime, like with this Uber stuff. And dude, it was destroying my back. Like you have to drive a significant amount to make a living. Like at a, like yeah, we like you do make a decent amount of money, but just like with like being a mechanic, like they make a decent amount of money, but they're reaching their hand in a giant metal object that is hot, that is sharp, that is dirty, that is, you know what I mean? You're doing a lot of stuff with your body. And with
Not to mention,
Uber,
everybody that made money worked, you know, it's the same kind of thing. Anything blue
right,
collar or middle class, you're working
exactly.
80 hours a week in order to live a good life.
You are physically going somewhere and doing something in that place that someone is paying you for. Like, and then so like that has an effect on your body. So I realized, man, I started running. I started doing I'm way more mobile than I was a couple months ago. And Jesus, man, I was like my back was hurting, like my legs were getting stiff, my joints were starting to like spasm every once in a while. I'd be like, what? But it's because like I'm literally sitting like this for 8 hours a day, over and over and over again. And then I go home and I'm exhausted. So I just go to sleep and then I get up the next day and I do the same thing again. You know,
Yeah.
and then like you say, okay, I'm gonna do this a little bit less, or I'm gonna do something else because, you know, this is having an effect on my health and whatever. And then maybe something comes up and you can't pay for it. because you didn't put that extra time in. And I feel like so many people are like in that situation where it's like you're sacrificing your health to make something in your life work. And this just put it in all, like, it just put everything in perspective. It made me go, I don't ever want to do that again. So this job to me now is like, this is my life. If I don't do this well enough to make a living off of it, I'm going to die, That's where Are You Dying comes from, like, it's like, what else would I be doing? If I'm not doing this, then I'm dying. So, got to do it.
Yeah. Like, are you dying? Like, in a way, the answer is like always yes, because we're all kind of slowly approaching the end,
Right.
We're just trying to, like, I talk about health and fitness and all that, and it's really just like trying to make that journey towards the end better,
Right.
It's not like preventing death. It's prolonging life, and and we live in a society that just prevents death. And that's why we're at where we're at right now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
I absolutely agree with that. 100%, I agree with that.
Your back hurts from working? Take ibuprofen. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Take this small measure to alleviate the result of the thing that is causing it, not the thing that's causing it. We're not going to fix that. We're only going to fix what it does to you, and it's only going to be for an amount of time that we can put a price tag on. And it's horrible for human development, like, it just is.
Absolutely.
And hey, like, that's not to say that there's anything wrong with, like, being a business person or with, being a pharmacist or studying pharmaceuticals, because I think we need all that stuff. But I think that we should do it by a need basis. If it's not something that if it's not something that's going to grow the community as a whole, if it's not something that's going to grow the nation, if it's not something that's going to grow us in a positive way, then why are we doing it? Why are we spending so much time and so much effort and so much money on it? Is it just to screw somebody into paying for it? Because if that's what it is, then, dude, you can only do that for so long before something melts, before something cracks or breaks, and nobody's around to fix it because everyone's doing this dumb shit.
Remember that game Fishy? That was on like E-Bombs World or Newgrounds when we were kids or whatever, and you started as this tiny little fish. It was like a flash game. You started as this tiny little fish, and you had to eat fish that were slightly smaller than you and avoid getting eaten by bigger fish.
Okay, and I played games like this.
It was like this perpetual, never-ending thing where no matter how big you got, there was always a bigger fish that was going to come eat you, and you could only play the game for so long before you died.
Right. Exactly.
That's how we live in our society. and people think that that's like the way it should be because everybody's got this conflated ego where they think like, well, I'm the biggest fish. So, like I'm the biggest fish. So if you're a smaller fish than me, I'm going to eat you. And if you're a bigger fish than me, I'll be bigger than you one day. Watch out. And then they get eaten and cry, woe is me. And it isn't until their world falls apart that they wish that there was some kind of assistance or the government should do X, Y, Z. And then so many people are yelling socialism about a lot of these ideas. When really it's about meeting in the middle and finding a way that you could, maybe have a little bit of a leg up in finding what your hustle is if you weren't born with money.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And the part that everybody misses is that we're not that game. That game doesn't just end with that big fish. That big fish dies and smaller things tear it apart and break it down into smaller things, and then the small fish eat it again. Like, that's the cycle. That's how nature works. You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't just stay a big fish. Even if you were a big fish, this is like, how are you going to sustain your size at this point? You have to keep eating things. That's the only way that you can even sustain what you are. So of course you're going to be terrorizing all these little things. And of course all these little people are going to fucking hate you. And of course you're going to cause problems here and there wherever you go, because you can't maintain your existence without sustenance. You know what I mean? You can't. So if you get so huge that the only way for you to go anywhere is to trample on everyone around you, then you become a problem for us, And then that only goes on for so long before you're dead, and then we're going to tear you apart anyway to get all the resources that you stockpiled this entire time.
Right. And
it doesn't make sense.
Perfect metaphor for everything that's just gone on. You know what I mean? Perfect metaphor for everything that's just gone on. People don't understand.
you can only make it so difficult before it's difficult for you. You know what I mean? Like, you can only go so hard and make it so hard for other people before it gets to a point where it's hard for you to move because you're too big. You're too big. You have too much influence. You have too much of this. You have too much of that. Every celebrity is dealing with that now. You know, like any little thing that happens, people are like, "Oh my God!" And it's like, yeah, you're too big. You've gotten to that point. You've gotten to that
People
point
don't understand what it's like to grow up without anything. You know what I mean? If you don't understand what it's like to not have, then it's also difficult for you to appreciate because we're not taught to do that. We're taught a falsified history. We're taught a falsified American history. We're not taught, you know, I'm not killing bugs. I'm expediting their reincarnation.
He's ushering them out of the universe.
It's their time. It's their time. And now I hope you come back as something better than a mosquito, like a squirrel. Anyway, you know, so, but, you know, if you grew up and you had, or if you grew up and you had a parent that came from nothing, that you lived your whole life and they were like, well, I built up from nothing, so you can do whatever you want to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
A lot of times it skews people's perspective into that big fish mentality when really it's just we've been born into a matrix that has a particular set of rules that we have been conditioned to believe that we are bound by. And we are not bound by those rules.
Yeah.
There is 1,000 different ways that you can find a way to make money doing what you love. You know, meanwhile, you know, you found a job that has a particular set of rules that helps somebody else, that helps a company that's out trying to do the right thing and be the best that they can for everybody else, you know? And
dude, and that's like, that's the whole point. Like, isn't that what business is? You know what I mean? Like, you're serving the customer. You're providing something that they need. You know, there's a lot of manufactured business right now, you know, and I think that's what I've learned through advertising. You know, I've done enough projects for enough people over enough, you know, disciplines, genres, like whatever you want to call it. Like, there's a lot of people who just want to be successful, but they don't know what they're actually providing people in order to do that. Like, there's no connection between the thing that they're giving the person and the money that they're getting for that thing. They're just doing something for the profit, but people don't understand that, you know, that's a reward, really. You know, it's not so much a trade as a reward. You have done something for me that makes me happy, that makes my life better, that makes my life easier, whatever it may be. You are doing this, and I am responding to you. So if you do it in a way that is false or that is uncaring of my feelings or that doesn't actually solve any of my problems, then what are we doing? Why am I even talking to you? You know, and a lot of people don't understand that what I'm trying to do with art and with design and with advertising, I want to get people's stories out there again. You know, and really talk about, you know, the people who make the stuff that we like, why they make the stuff we like, and, you know, why it works. You know, I don't want to do projects for companies that don't care about their customers. And I don't want to do projects for people who are starting out and honestly, like, who don't know what they're giving people. You know, like, it's important on both ends, the brand new and the way far, to consider your responsibility in the situation, you know? Like, is your product good enough to sell? You know, or do you have to wait a year, you know, to make sure that it's actually put together enough that people can do something with it, you know? Are you ready to move on to the next chapter of your business? Or should you stay there for a little bit and really understand, you know, your overhead, you know? Or do you want to take on 1,000 new customers and then not be able to actually service any of them? You know what I mean? We talk about growth as if it's not an actual thing. We talk about growth as like the future, but growth is present. Growth is what's happening right now. And if you're not paying attention to what's happening right now, you're not really growing. You know, you can eat a lot and you can gorge, you know what I mean? But to grow is to do it naturally. To grow is, the plant doesn't just shoot itself out of the ground, you know, incrementally, you know, and then it lasts. If it becomes a tree, it could be there for 100 years. You know, and people don't put enough effort into the little stuff that makes the thing the thing. You know,
Well, the
everybody
first thing
wants
the sapling has to do is take root.
Right.
You know, you have to take root.
And roots go deep as hell. Roots are not like, you can't just grab a plant and pull it out of the ground. You know what I mean? You can't just do that. You got to tug. You got to put some effort into it. Like,
and that root is a solid support system, healthy
right.
friends, a system of taking care of yourself, a hobby, time to take time off. And I don't mean like days.
Right.
I mean like hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I have a few days a week. I have like 2 or 3 hours that I block out where I allow myself to like play Xbox. You know what I mean? Because it's important for me to like not think. And I just had I had a situation in my relationship because I didn't realize how awful I was to be around in the stress of figuring out how to start a business. You know? And I was just terrible to be around. And then I have to have Jen, who, you know, it's important. You know, they say behind every great man is a great woman. And then I have Jen, who doesn't give me an inch about anything, be like, hey, you're being a dick. You know what I mean? And then I have to suppress my ego and realize that you're right.
Yeah.
And then just stop being that way
yeah.
and start appreciating the things that you have around, you know?
Yeah.
And like, and amazing things happen when that when you just allow, you know, you allow things to happen and you allow growth to happen, and you have to then take those calculated steps to think where you have to go next, you know? I find it's a fine interplay between calculating where you should go and what the possible outcomes are, and putting the work into making it the best that you can be, and putting the work in to putting the work in to grow those roots and to be as good as you can at what you want to be the best tree you can be, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then also like reaching for the sunlight and being like, I have to dive this way right now to get what I need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, it's this fine interplay between like just doing it and figuring out what exactly it is you're just doing.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
And there's a quote, I don't know who said it. I'm real bad at stuff like that, but I always remember what was said. And the person said, it's not about being inspired to do something. It's about doing something and then you get inspiration from it. It's about the finished thing, the thing that you completed, and then you learn something from you doing that, whether it was during the process, whether it was in the completion, whether it was something about yourself, whatever it is, it's in the doing and the finishing of that, then you are inspired. It's not, we turn that around too much and we try to wait for inspiration to come in order to act, but it's action first and then inspiration. And once I started like thinking that way, a lot of stuff switched up, a lot of stuff changed up, a lot of the stagnation I felt suddenly disappeared. And that's not to say that there isn't still stagnation, like there isn't still problems. Like there's all kinds of stuff that I need to do that, hey, I'm not there yet, you know, but I'm getting there. And in the meantime, I'm doing other stuff that I need to do, you know, and as long as you're focusing on that end goal, and as long as you're pushing towards that end goal, you'll get there. If you really care about it and you really believe in it, you'll get there 100%. So I just try to tell myself that every day and keep it going.
Now, was there ever a point in time where you were like, forget it, I'm throwing out my paint, throwing out my markers, I'm never doing this ever again?
No, never. The worst it ever gets is I'm just not drawing, or I'm just not painting, or I'm just not creating. But other than that, like, no, I would never get rid of any of this. I don't think that's even possible. That's how much I love this shit. Like I couldn't. Where would I even put it? Like in the trash? Like no. Like it would have to be like a giveaway. Like people, I'd be like, hey, everyone, come over. Like something like that.
This.
Right. I couldn't just toss it. Like I don't even know. Like it's hard for me to throw stuff away sometimes, just because I have a lot of feelings attached to things. So.
How do you feel when you sell a piece then?
It's weird, man. Yo,
is it like selling puppies? You know what I mean? Like you got this litter of puppies and you love every single one of them, but they're all going to be all around your house all the time. So you got to get rid of them.
In the
And
last,
they better go to a good home. Yeah.
in the last like 3 years, I've sold a decent amount of paintings to the point of like if you go on areyouDyingShow.com, most of them are sold. Like, and there's a lot of paintings on there, and most of them are gone. And it blows my mind sometimes where I'm like, yo, I sold all of these, but also it's like, yeah, like your stuff is good. But every time that it's happened, I've always had like almost like a withdrawal where like I give that person the thing and I get the money. And I'm happy that I have the money because now I can go buy something or pay for something that I need. But I also think about the painting, like almost like, I wonder like where it is now or what it, where they hung it up or like those kind of things. Some people send me pictures, but people don't do it that often. Like they say nice. They will, but then they don't.
That's nice. Yeah, I know. Like to them, you're just a transaction,
Right. They're like, oh my God, I'm so happy I have this. And then it goes. But what I've learned very recently, honestly, and this creative director job has kind of put a lot of that into perspective for me. People who don't have a creative mind aren't thinking about it the way that I'm thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like that's why I'm an artist. That's why I do this. Like people literally aren't looking at a piece of art or a photograph or, just sometimes even just like a doodle the way that an artist is looking at it. As an artist, we're coming at it from like almost like almost like a doctor doing surgery. You know what I mean? Like what the body is and how it works and you're moving things around. Like you're taking elements of something and you're moving it around, but you're trying to keep the life of the thing. You're trying to make sure that it stays true. And I guess to a doctor, that's stay alive. And for artists, it's like we want to make sure that when this thing is done, it works as a thing. And sometimes we don't have that much faith. Sometimes it's a hard procedure. You know what I mean? Sometimes we're worried about what it is. So then sometimes when we get accolades for certain things, we're like, oh, you guys really enjoyed that one. You know what I mean? Because to us, we were looking at it completely different. So when people buy my stuff, sometimes it's like, yo, you have no idea what emotions I put into this thing. But sometimes people like resonate with it very strongly. They might not know the exact thing that it was. We might not have ever had a conversation about what it means or anything like that, but they'll have a reaction to it. And sometimes the reaction is all their own, has nothing to do with what I intended. But I love that it brings them joy. I love that whatever I'm putting out into the world is making people go, I want that, or that does something for me. And that makes me feel good. So I'm like, you know what? I had to kind of break away from my almost like fatherishness of my art.
These are my kids.
Yeah, it's like you can't do that. And it's funny because I used to not yell, but I used to get on some of my clients' cases for that. Just saying, because people's business of like, this is my baby, and it's like, no, well, babies need to grow. Babies don't stay babies all the time. They don't. They grow every day. They get a little bit older, and in 5 years they're 5. They're not babies anymore. So
right.
It can be your baby, but as long as you're holding it in your arms, it's still growing, with or without you, because the idea has been created. So it's
and then it's going to be heavier and heavier.
Yeah, you have to give it space. You have to give it space to grow. Like not only like through your guidance at the beginning of it, just like a baby, but then by itself like later, because it's going to become something for people that aren't you. Because isn't that the whole goal,
right.
To connect with the people out there?
I had a song that I had been working on since I was in Babylon, and I never finished it because I just like had this idea of what I wanted it to sound like, and it had to be that thing. And I would always have these chords and this verse and this chorus that I would play and then be like, where do I go from here? I need a bridge to put it together. And then when I just like let go of the need to have it be something it wasn't, and let it speak for itself. It's like any piece of art that you make, whether it be drawing or whether it be music or whether it be song, what you're doing is you're communicating. And right. All communication is, it's its own language. Painting is a language. Drawing is a language. Guitar is a language. It's all its own language. And whether or not you, like if you listen to a song that's in Spanish, for instance, like say you're not a painter. I don't know if you speak Spanish, but like.
Not enough. I think that one time when I was drunk and I ordered tacos or something.
Yeah, like we called somebody and you like executed the order in Spanish, and it was impressive.
Yes.
And you're like, I don't know how I made that work, but I
no, because you study Spanish in high school. I did pretty well, and then I guess all of that just flooded back in my drunken state.
Yeah, yeah, like whatever wire it is plugged into, like the wires fell and connected. But oh God, what was I even on about? I was on about. Now when you remember, now I'm just thinking about.
You asked me if I know Spanish.
Oh yeah. No. So like, painting is like a language, right?
Any
form of art is like speaking a language. You're a painter, so you understand the language of painting,
right?
And and all that language is the conveyance of an emotion to somebody else, because nobody can experience what you're feeling. So you need a way to that's why it's called self-expression. You need a way to then express that emotion so that others can then interpret that emotion. And when somebody connects and resonates with your piece of artwork, it's like they get you. It's like they understand you. They're picking up what you're putting down. They understand the emotion, or they feel something that is a direct translation of something that you felt. You felt something. You knew it had to look this way. You knew it had to be this way. You let it speak to you. You conveyed it onto a piece of paper, and then somebody else buys it, and you're like, you understand the message.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like when I write something and people are like, I like that song a lot, or when I get an idea across or when I'm teaching somebody, and I say to them, like, like martial arts is the art part of martial arts is your self-expression.
Right.
Just because the form is a prearranged string of movements, you doing it the way that you do it is you expressing yourself.
Yes,
so whether you do your form and you're super angry, or whether you do your form and you're focusing on like the beauty of the transition of the movement, and you look like you're light and you want to make your form look, that's up to you. That's up to you as the practitioner, how you want to express that set of movements.
Right.
Obviously it gets a little bit hairier when it comes to martial arts because you have like a thing that you're doing, you know what I mean? Like if you decide this shouldn't be a kick, I think it should be a punch. It's like no, that's not, that part's a kick. Like do the kick, but
no.
But in the same way,
martial arts is
self-expression.
Martial arts is its own thing. But yes,
if anything, it gives you the confidence to then share your internal language with others.
Right. You can always put your own attitude on it. You mentioned that I have martial arts background as well, and I still train. Like I still train now, but like I feel like I train now, and it's almost like I'm the goofy one. You know what I mean? I'm the guy who's pretty good, but I left. But I never stopped. But I just left to do other stuff. But I still train everywhere else that I'm at. You know what I mean? Like,
so it's like your shit looks wonky, but like you have it.
Right, exactly.
I know plenty of those people. I haven't seen you in 5 years. Oh, you're taking class again tonight? Yeah, I still have all my forms. All right, well, we're gonna run them.
I was actually thinking. I did Shotokan, and I actually was thinking that I wanted to get my Heian Shodan down. So Heian Shodan is like the kata of the Shotokan style, according to my sensei. He said, "Hey, this is the one. Like this is the one that kind of encapsulates a lot of what we do in this style. This is one you can learn all of them, and you need to get your belts and all that stuff. But this is the one that you should be the tightest." And I took that to heart. And I still know a big part. Like
That's awesome.
So I was thinking the other day, like, one day, like I might never get my black belt with him. You know what I mean? Because like I started getting into boxing and things like that. But I think I just want to go back and just be like, can I show you my Heian Shodan? And just
what? Send him. Does he have a Facebook?
I think so. Yeah.
Send him a video of you doing it.
Just me doing my Heian Shodan.
From like martial artist to martial artist, and knowing my teacher, they would probably appreciate it. And you never know what can happen from reaching out. You never know what's going on with his school right now.
Oh, dude, I could give him a call right now. Like, he's that guy. You know what I mean? Like,
martial arts schools are suffering right now. Like, you never know what's going on. So many businesses are suffering because of like, and there's the toss up of like, is it worth it or is it not worth it? You know, you have situations like the city where there is absolutely no avoiding people, you know, and I'm lucky enough to be out on the island where it's like 6 feet isn't hard. Yeah. Unless you go grocery shopping. If you go grocery shopping, then it's impossible. But it's like, just put your mask on out of respect for other people, regardless of what your dumbass opinion is. I don't walk around with my pants down because other people wouldn't appreciate it, even though I might be okay with what I got going on. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't mean I need to show it to the world.
Right.
You know? Put your mask on and cover your shit up and stop making people uncomfortable.
Right.
That's really all it is.
I think you're right on the button where it's just like, right now, America has to make a decision. Either we're going to respect each other or everything's going to go to shit, man. Like, that's really all it is. You're either going to respect the people around you and respect that they have lives that aren't yours and respect yourself enough to not be a piece of shit and move on and just keep going. If we can do that, I think we can figure out a lot of the other stuff. But it's the disrespect that kind of is starting to break stuff down. You know, it's you don't know what you're talking about. It's, who are you? It's, everything I've ever heard about people like that. It's all of this bullshit here and there. But it's like, hey, I think if everybody just sat down and respected the person sitting in front of them and we actually could have a full conversation where everybody could say their piece, then maybe we can start making some decisions, you know what I mean? And get some of these crooks.
Nobody talks to each other.
Out of here.
And it's like, if you disagree with somebody, all of a sudden you know what I mean? Like, I post something slightly controversial on Facebook, and next thing you know, I got, like, my cousin commenting on it, like a paragraph like this, like being like, here's why you're wrong, you know what I mean? And it's like, come on. A lot of it's and all the opinion baiting stuff, you know, people trying to look for arguments. I don't like it.
As an advertiser, it is criminal that there was no agency that was tasked with promoting the internet itself as a form of media. Because we have gotten so far in the internet age and no one knows what they're doing. Like, it's gotten this far. Like, look, me and you are talking to each other right now on this podcast. It's cool. There are people listening. What a wonderful thing that we have created as a species, right? But then also, at the same time, there's somebody arguing with somebody that they don't know on Facebook, and neither of them know, really about the topic that they're arguing about. Like, neither of them is a intellectual or a professor of some sort or whatever.
No, they're headline wars. They're headline wars.
But they are viciously attacking each other over something that neither of them truly know about. And I feel like that might be one of my things that I want to do with my life. I wanna get advertising back to where it was, where you were not only saying to people, hey, this is a good thing for your life, or this is a good product that you should have, but you're also saying, because you're a good person and you should be doing good things. And hey, this is also not how to use this product and not how to do this thing. And hey, you can do better than that. Like, I think we need more rhetoric like that. And that's all advertising is, just rhetoric.
Like,
you sit in a room with 6 other dudes.
Going to exist. Propaganda is going to exist in all directions. So it's not the idea that you're consuming propaganda. This is propaganda. You know what I mean? Technically, this is propaganda. But it's the intent behind which the propaganda is out there. You know what I mean? You don't want it to be Mad Men, where it's like, I don't give a shit if it's good for you or bad for you. What I want is the $10,000 check you're going to cut me for cutting this ad and selling your shit. It's like there needs to be a moral compass attached to success.
Yeah, and you'll take that check and you'll smoke that and shits, and you'll get 50 years and you'll die from lung cancer. Yeah. You know, like, and that last 20 will suck. But you got $10,000 once a while ago. But that $10,000 isn't going to save you from this thing. You know what I mean? Like, I think people really need to start thinking and putting things into perspective, not only for just right now and in the moment, but like, hey, all of your actions are your whole story. You know, everything that you do is your story. It's the next page of your story. So what's the next page of your story?
Even when nobody's looking.
even when nobody's looking, it's still the next page of your story.
Yep.
Because 20 years later, somebody will find out that you did that thing. You know what I mean? Or somebody will ask you about that thing. Or someone that you hurt when you did that thing will come back and say, hey, you did that thing. You know what I mean? Like, it happens all the time.
It changes you. You know what I mean?
It changes you as a person. The amount of stuff, like, everybody has something they're ashamed of. I do. Stuff that I hope nobody ever.
I'm ashamed of.
I hope nobody ever hears about that shit ever. I hope the people who were there for it laughed at me and let it be that, and then that was it.
Oh, and I know that there's gonna be if you know, like when this show blows up, I'm not gonna say if. Like one other episode, I was like, my listeners don't know they're my listeners yet, but they're gonna find out soon. You know, like, and then they're gonna be very happy that they are now aware that they've been my listeners this whole time.
Right.
So
they
when my listeners and my viewers eventually find out who they are, you know, they'll be very happy to know that the show exists. And then there'll be other people that know me already that knew the old me, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it'll be like, that guy's a dick. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to watch this show. I don't like this guy. And then other people who will, you know, like I also get a lot of positive feedback about people who can't believe who I've become, you know? Because I remember, so martial arts changed my life. And I would not have sought it out had we not had all those talks about Shotokan with you and Sho.
Oh, facts. Oh my God, Sho.
And you two. So listen, we shouldn't have ever been mechanics because we did not give a shit about what was going on in class.
We really did not care about
We were
cars.
in the shop, kicking each other's asses from one end of the shop to the other, as he's showing me like how self-defense techniques work and like how this chop works and how this pressure strike works and how this da-da-da-da. And I'm like, shit, I can't do anything. And like, they understand how to move their body. And meanwhile, I'm like, okay, great. Let me go outside and smoke a cigarette. You know?
Yes.
Like,
the infamous Deep Pasquale cigarette.
Oh my God. People don't understand how bad it was. Like I smoked from 13 years old. I was a smoker.
Wow.
2 packs a day. When I, by the time, like right after I had graduated and I was working at Chevy, I was smoking 2 packs. I was smoking 2 packs a day, which is 40 cigarettes that take about 7 minutes to smoke each.
Yeah, that's
why. Think about how much time that is that you're smoking.
No, I get it. That's why I'll say 2 packs a day, because you don't want to tell someone that you smoked 40 cigarettes today, because they're gonna be like, "What the hell is wrong with you?"
Like 2 packs is like 2. You know what I mean? It's the same way that like the Xbox 360 came out because they didn't want to compete with the PS2. It sounds better than the higher number,
it sounds,
even though it's the second Xbox.
Dude,
you know what I mean? 40 cigarettes is a whole lot different. Yeah, people wonder why.
People do that shit all the time.
One of my Sifus is real funny because like whenever I'm out of breath, he's like, "You're not putting the fucking work in," you know. And I'm like, "No, dude. Like my lungs are still healing. Like you don't understand. It doesn't matter how long ago I quit. I guess you know I got stuff I'm recovering from." And recently, like I smoked up until like a year ago. You know what I mean? And like not as much, but there was a gas station down the road. So this is another thing that, like, people, if you're still doing stupid shit, even if you only do it a little bit, you still do it. That's the thing. You're still doing it. So, like, even though I was smoking, like, a cigarette or 2 here and there, every now and then I'd be like, I'm going to go crazy tonight, you know, like, and smoke half a pack. And then, but, like, you still smoke. You're still doing the thing. And, like I had said to you about stuff that changes you, that, for me, that's porn. Porn is something I feel like nobody should watch. It changes it changes your perception of a beautiful thing that is part of human nature and turns it into something that has been, like you had said, you know, marketed and advertised as something that is consumer now. Now it's consumer. It has
nothing to do with what it is anymore. It's all about what people want to see and what buttons they can push and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it got really weird, man. It got really, really weird really, really fast. Okay, so you said you've been smoking forever. I've been doing people forever. Like I was very early to bat, and I've been swinging forever. But it was, I don't know, like more recently I'm thinking that, you know, while that sexual nature might be part of my personality, I'm still like, yo, this is weird. like I hate like the fake moans, you know. I hate the fake machismo of the guys that are involved, you know. I
Oh
hate
yeah.
I hate the shaming that's also involved in like the power struggle on either side, you know, where it's like they have to make the woman be like the bottom and oh my god she's being torn apart, versus the other side where oh the man is nothing and she's like stomping all over him. Like, why do we
Yeah.
have to dominate each other to that degree? Like, isn't this supposed to be like a sharing of thing? And honestly, I've felt like that for a really long time, but it's only recently that I've been like, you know what, no, I really feel like that, I'm gonna I'm gonna not do that.
Yeah, like to that extent, you know what I mean? Like a very good friend of mine who I'm trying to convince to come onto the show. She just like doesn't know if this is something she would want to do, you know. But she's a very good friend of mine, and it's funny because we grew up together, and she went and got a doctorate, and I went and dropped out of high school. So, you know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to say her name just in case she never wants to come on.
Yeah,
you know
I
mean?
figured. I figured who you were talking about, though.
Yeah,
yeah.
But she, you know, she would like in that instance. I think of her like reminding you that like that is something that people are into. So there is a need for that expression because some people like have that thing in them. But at the same time, I just mean like as a whole, the marketing and the way it's presented and the consistency and how sex is used to sell everything. And if you're not,
the fact, it's the consistency of it. The fact that it is being used, like, yes, you're right. There are people who feel that way, who live that life, and who enjoy it, and it brings joy to their lives. And that's wonderful, and you should participate in that if that is how you feel, if that is your kink, if that is your thing. But there are so many people that it's not, and it's being marketed to them as like part of the journey, and it's like, no, it might never be a part of your journey. Like, you don't ever need to participate in that. It's not like a phase that you have to go through, but it is being marketed that way, and I think that's wrong, and I think that it's messing with people's nature, because I think there was a lot of people who think that, oh, I have to be like this, or oh, he's going to want to see me like this, or she's only going to like me if I do this, and that's embedded into your growth when you consume these things, because you're seeing an image of something that this is the way to do it. And when you see it consistently, your brain goes, well, that's the way that it happens. And then you start thinking that you have to be like that. And some people are not like that. Like, yes, some people are. And guess what? You're not going to have any problems with it because that's what you're like. But some people are not. And if you're blasting that to them all the time, they're going to start getting self-conscious. They're going to start asking themselves questions. They're going to start asking other people questions. It might not even be like oh, I should be like that. It might be like oh, is this what people are like? You know what I mean? And now suddenly they're worried. Now they're worried about everybody else because like, oh, all those people out there, they're doing this and doing, you know what I mean? Like, everybody out there is thinking I'm a MILF and whatever. like, you know what I mean? Everybody out there is looking at their stepsister funny, and I'm like, whoa, this is insane. Like, this is insane. Like,
why is that? That's the thing.
Why is that a thing?
Why is that a thing?
Why is that a thing?
Why is it everywhere? Why is it all over the place?
Why is that a thing?
Anytime you
Why
put
is
up
that the whole
sibling, stepmom, your dad's
page.
not home.
Why is it the whole first page?
I know.
No,
it's ridiculous.
And mixed into those things are like, oh, my dad's friend. Like,
oh my God.
Yo, can you imagine? Can you imagine?
like my friend's hot sister, where it's like,
okay, wait, no. See, I'm down for friend's hot sister. You know, depending on age ranges. You know what I mean?
But no, that's exactly the point that I'm trying to make.
Right.
It'll be something like that, and it'll be like, I'm 18, but it's like clearly you are not
18.
carrying yourself like somebody who's. You're carrying yourself like somebody who's lying about being 18.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And then I've been in situations in like the dating game in my 20s where I'm like 23, 24, and I spend the entire night or multiple occasions with somebody who's like 19 and I'm 20, 22, 23, and then they tell me later that they're 17. You know what I mean? Because and all of a sudden, because that's how it's presented, and it's okay. You know, now it's okay to lie. And
I've heard a lot of stories like that.
there's also like people want to grow up before they grow up, but
yeah,
really,
but
really
that's
the point is we're selling to people. We're selling to people that
exactly.
you need to be able. You need to be hooking up with people. You need to be
That's
doing
what
it. You
we're
need to,
marketing to people, and a lot of these shows are watched by a younger generation.
Love
so when
isn't
they
real.
grow up like that,
Yeah,
that's what they're
real.
gonna do.
You're gonna have 1,000 relationships before you're 28 anyway.
Right.
So just do whatever you want, fuck whoever you want.
It is.
Don't
right.
chase it. Don't get your heart broken. Avoid the pain. It's avoidance of pain, really.
Right.
You know, the darker and deeper it is, the more you're hiding from actually feeling real things.
Right.
We live in a universe of duality. That's where the concept of yin and yang come from. Light and dark, cold and hot. We live in a universe of duality. And we as people experience this binary nature through birth, through our chromosomes. We are born either XX or XY. We're male or we're female, right? So in that, we are taught that you are that one thing. And even I confidently, as a straight male, know that the concept of that binary reality is false. It's fictitious. It's you know, people are much more fluid than that. You know what I mean? Like 30 years ago, I'd get strung up for this, you know. I already had, when I decided to grow my hair out, I was dating somebody else and she was like, "You're gonna look like a girl." And I was like, what is this, fucking 1962?
With your,
like, what do you say?
With your full beard. With your full beard and martial arts muscles. How are you gonna look like a girl?
You know? Like not even, you know, and like it's not even that. Like, who gives a shit?
Right.
That's the point. Is who cares? Let me do whatever I want to do. Shave your head.
Right.
Do whatever you want to do. I don't care. You be who you want to be. Nobody has any. There's no definition. You don't have to be anything. And like that's why I'm glad I had the experiences I have. Like I grew up in this whitewashed, tiny red town. You know what I mean? Like before I went to tech school, like I graduated with one black person. Or yeah, I think maybe two. Black. I don't remember. Yeah,
maybe it was a black guy and an Indian guy. I don't know.
I'm like, is Rodney Dominican? Or
could have been a dark skinned Asian dude.
Like I don't want to offend anybody or be like, oh, I graduated in 2007 too. And I'm like, you forgot me. You know what I mean? Like,
dude.
But like, no, Ashley. Her name's Ashley. That's how. Like, that's how few. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I had no
segue into
anything else because I grew up on the poor side of a rich town. You know?
Right.
Are you raising your hand?
No, segue into you being my favorite type of white, where you do the thing, you're like, yeah, because you're really trying hard not to be a dickhead about it, but you're also like, I don't fucking know.
But I like that you accept that, you know?
Because what else would you be, dog? Because what else would you be? Like, that's where you're from. Yeah. Like, that's where you're from. What am I gonna say?
Yeah, you used to say I was from fucking Narnia. You used to say it was from fucking Narnia. You're like, where all the fucking trees are from. Yeah. you got all those trees out there and shit.
It was like a 50-minute drive to your house. It had nothing to do with the white people who live there. It had everything to do with how far it was. It was like, dude, is there a wardrobe that I can walk into and I'm just there? Like, Jesus, drive is ridiculous.
You're from Queens and I was living in Coram at the time. So like, yeah, that's like kind of far. That's kind of a hike. It's like that's like, you know, kind of a hike. Like if you got to get on the Belt Parkway from here, some people don't even know where the Belt Parkway is.
Exactly,
you know
exactly. I mean? And I'm just hitting
you got to get on the FDR. And I'm like, what's the FDR? I'm like, oh,
I'm just going. Going down this road.
Well, do you know how much that blew my friends' minds when they're like, we're going to the city? And I'm like, why are we getting on the LIE? It's like, 'cause I'm not paying for a round-trip ticket from Smithtown. Are you crazy? I'm driving to Queens. It's cheaper. There's no tolls. And then park in Flushing.
Park in my house.
And then or park at your house and take the bus to the 7. Yeah.
That was so random.
There was that garage just outside Whitestone in Chinatown in Flushing that had that like garage that costed like nothing. And there was noodles open forever. We went there plenty of times.
Wait, the noodle place under the noodle place under the train station?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know that place isn't there anymore?
It's not?
No, they like revamped like the LIR station over there, so they like got rid of them, and I'm like, you guys are the worst. This is literally like they were literally feeding the people of the town, and you got rid of them. Like y'all are the worst.
Like, I remember we had a car. I had parked my car in that garage, and it cost like nothing. And we were riding back to the 7, and we were going back to your house. You had too much to drink, and you were like, I'm going to go stand between the cars.
Oh,
and
my God.
I was like, and I'm like, I'm not from the city. I'm like, I don't know if that's a good idea. Like, you're going to fall off. You're going to, like, fall. And, like, I'm thinking all this, like, terrible, like Final Destination shit where you're going to, like, fall down and smash your face on the wall or, like, get killed. And you're like, nah, dog, I'm from here. Like, this is going to be fine. And
I'm pretty sure my drunk ass looked at you and was like, what are you worried about? Like, no. Whatever you're doing, no.
You just got up and stood between the cars, leaned against one, and fell asleep. Never seen anything so impressive in my life. It was insane.
I just needed air. Because, you know what, the thing is, when you live in the city and you're drunk and you're on the... First of all, and if you've read articles about the MTA, it's the worst place in the world. It is hot. It's dirty. Like, everything... It's underground, and you know it. You know what I mean? Like, society has not really met the subway. You know, the subway is like this, is like where the mole people live. You know what I mean?
People think, like, they see, like footage of the Singapore subway, and they think that's what everything's going to be like.
No. Other
like,
countries
you can't stand under the dripping water because it's not water.
Yes, it's not. It's whatever. It's whatever it is. You have no idea what that liquid is. Where it's coming from, nothing.
I'll paint you a scenario. It's the middle of winter, and you have 8 coats on because it's freezing. It's -4 degrees outside, and you got someplace to be. So you walk to the subway, and you have to take a couple of trains. You get onto one train, and you wish that it was the summertime because it's 18,000 degrees, and you got to stand with 4,000 people and wait for the trains to come, and you're sweating to death. And then you take all your coats off. Then you got to put them all back on as you walk outside. And you go to the next subway, and it's a refrigerator.
Right.
And you're still just as cold when you go into the subway. And you went from Midtown and now you're uptown and you want to die.
Right.
You know?
Dude, it's summer now. So the station is hot. It's baking in there. And then you get on the train and it's a freezer. So you're going from hot to freezing to hot again. It's wild. Like, it's a wild thing. So then add any kind of alcohol to that whatsoever, where you're already not feeling great because alcohol is terrible for you. You're like, I just needed some air that day, man. I just needed to not be breathing the inner air of the car, like the train car. I needed actual air. So I just had to stand between and get like all the passing stuff, just because it was just like, this is the only way I'm going to stay up. I'm not going to be able to keep this up if I don't do this.
As much as I love all the stupid shit that we did together, I would never tell anybody to do any of the stupid shit that we did together.
No. We were just having this conversation before. I'm not a teacher, and I don't consider myself a teacher in any way, shape, or form, because I never want that responsibility of what somebody else is doing with themselves. But all I'll say is that get yourself some good friends that you can trust, and then it doesn't matter what you do, because the people around you are going to be caring about you, so you have a way better chance of actually making it through it. I can't tell you how many times I've almost died. but being around good people who actually cared about me, who actually were looking out for my best interest, who were actually like worried about me and made sure that I didn't do some dumb stuff that I would have just done. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. That's what got me through all of it, you know, like hanging out with people like you, hanging out with people like Sho, hanging out with people like Jack, hanging out with, like, you know, the people who are still my friends now after 10 some odd years, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's a blessing, you know. If you can, at the end of the day, you only need like 3, you know, 2, you know, 1, honestly, you know, if that's the kind of person you are. But, you know, if you got like that close-knit connection, man, you'll make it through a lot more than you would by yourself, you know.
Absolutely.
And I'll thank y'all every day of my life, every day that I'm alive, because I know for a fact there'll be a couple times I would have been gone already, man. Easy.
Oh man, 100%. If it wasn't for some of the people in my life, it's really important that like you hold on to the good people. You hold on to the people that like maybe you have to be the bigger person and send the text message because you don't know what's going on in somebody else's life.
Right.
I give everybody a couple of strikes. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
if I reach out to somebody and they blow me off and it's been a while, they're like, it is what it is. If I reach out again and you blow me off again, then I'm like, all right, I get it. You know what I mean? But occasionally, like, you don't ever know. Like, especially in marketing this podcast, like, I have to be annoying. And with, like, building a business, I have to be. There's no other way. Nobody's paying attention to it, so I have to yell it in people's faces until it becomes organic. That's the way that it goes when you don't have, $1 million to advertise on Google,
Right.
So I'm sending messages to people directly on Facebook. And it's a beautiful thing because I'm having some conversations with people I would not normally speak to or have not spoken to in a long time. It just takes the courage, and you're a person that definitely taught me the importance of faking it until you make it, which is like a mantra that my teacher says all the time. You know what I mean? Like, but just even in the way that you were like, hey, like this group of people is a little older than me, and I'm not recommending like falsifying your information, but like your fucking take on it was, let me say I'm 23 so that like people will take me a little bit more seriously. That's like a dumb 20-year-old's like idea of fake it until you make it. But
can I put that into perspective? So
1,000%. I mean, I think it's hilarious, but
because it is. So I'll put it into perspective. At the time, so you said it yourself, like I would have a job, but then I'd go to school, but then I'd go do whatever art stuff I had to do to get my art career a little bit further. You know what I mean? So I'm going to all these parties, I'm doing all this stuff, I'm left, right, and center over and over again. But I was young. I couldn't go to some of the places and some of the venues that some of these things were happening in. So I legit had to lie sometimes. I had a whole fake ID. I had a whole scenario and situation where I wouldn't, get carded for certain things or certain things wouldn't be an issue. I did whatever back work I had to do.
A lot easier when all the people around you believe that you are that age and that person.
Exactly. So it was literally me doing that. It was literally me being like, hey, there's an art show happening in this club and I can't get in if I'm not 21 and I'm not 21. So let me do what I can do to get into that thing, to talk to the people that I need to talk to get the things that I need to get. And I just did it so many times, So I had just made a story for myself, where I was just like, that's the thing, it's advertising. I've never not been advertising, it's not so much like I didn't consider that as much a lie as much as it's like, hey, I want to be 23 one day. You know what I mean? Like it's like I might as well be 23. I might as well be 20. I'm chilling with you guys. It doesn't matter. It's whatever.
Like I'm not lying. It's just it's gonna happen eventually. You know what I mean? I'll make it. I'll make it there.
Like
this makes 27. That's the age.
Yeah, my age makes no difference to any of you whatsoever. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Like if I get in trouble, it was me being like my fake ID came from or somebody who really makes them. So so they'd scan the shit and it would it'd come up like inconclusive or like it'd give them a weird reading where like it wasn't a no, or like I had one guy, and this was the funniest thing is that I went to so many places for so many years, never bothered me about anything. Some of my friends who were of age would get held at the door and they'd ask them questions and stuff, and for those of them who knew my situation, they'd be like sick, they'd be so mad because they'd be like, you just let this asshole in here and you're looking at me. But my whole thing was like, yo, don't cause problems. Don't, bring too much attention to yourself. Like, what you're here for. Do what you got to do. And I went to a place that I actually went to a lot. This place in the city called Fat Cat. I love that place. I hope they're doing all right in this whole quarantine situation because I want to go back after it's done. But I've been going there forever. I've been going there since I was like, actually in high school, because they don't stop younger people from coming in because there's like live jazz and live music and stuff. You just can't drink, so I would go there all the time. So I was older. I walk into the place, the dude took my ID. It's a new guy at the door. I don't know who this dude is. He's bending my shit. He's looking at it all over, and I know it's fake. I know it's fucking fake. But I'm looking at him like, come on, man, what's going on? You know, I'm doing the whole story. I'm doing the whole face. I'm like, yo, come on, man. I'm always. But then also it was legit because I'm like, dude, no, I actually always come here. Like, I don't even want to drink. Like, what are you like? I'm not gonna tell that to you, but I wish I could, so that you would just leave me alone and let me exist. Like, it was weird. It was weird. I don't know. I've done a lot of stuff like ahead of time because of like that age thing. But then also it was just like, hey, like I knew where I wanted to be, you know? I wanted to be around the artists and around the musicians. And apparently all the artists and musicians were around alcohol. So I was just like, hey, I'm just going to have to segue past this thing to get in there.
Yeah, if you can't have I remember being like, being the kid in a band, you know? I was like 19, 20, and I was in a band, and I was the youngest kid. And they would make jokes about like me being DD on tour. But then you go and play those shows. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then I've had, you know, like I remember we chalked my ID for one show because even though I was playing, they wouldn't let me in if I wasn't 21. You know what I mean? Like,
that's crazy.
I remember we had to, like, a couple of venues, we had to like beg and be like, dude, I'm just playing. You know what I mean?
Yo,
like, let me in.
I feel
and it's
that.
It's like you're just trying to do a thing.
You're just trying to do a thing, man.
And like you said with painting, like I'm still practicing my guitar. I still intend on doing that. I just need to. I have other things that I need to build. You know what I mean? And I know I have a mission and I have an idea. Excuse me, and I have to chase it to the end. You know, that's what the whole point of this is. Like talking and having voices. You know, having a voice is a gift. It's a blessing. Not everybody has one. Not everybody has the ability to have these conversations. Some people don't know how to have a fluid conversation like this. You know what I mean? And some people aren't blessed enough to have friends. Some people aren't blessed enough to have friends that are like, I want to sit and talk with you for 3 hours anyway. I'd love to do a podcast. You know what I mean? Like,
right, exactly.
You know what I mean? So, like, I'm very lucky that I have the things that I have, and I want to utilize them to be able to help people. Like I said to you, like I know, like I have a mouth on me, but the whole goal is I want like people who are younger to be able to listen to this show and relate to it.
Right.
I had a very interesting experience when I became a manager at a Starbucks, you know, which is like, again, like what the hell? It's like, you know, diesel mechanic, and now you're all of a sudden, you know, making frappuccinos. But like, I was the old guy, you know. I went from being I was always the younger person I was hanging out with. I was always like, all my friends were a little older than me, and my girlfriends were a little older than me. You know what I mean? Occasionally, like my age, a little older, and then occasionally, you know, like very, very rarely did I go for somebody who was younger than me. I like maturity. I like people who like have a little bit more experience that can kind of help me. And it was a wake-up call because I was the old guy, you know? And I wasn't at first because, like, I worked in, like, a geriatric Starbucks, apparently. Like, the morning crew was all, like wives that had nothing to do because all the kids were in college, you know? And the night crew was a bunch of degenerates like me who were, like, figuring out their lives again and, like, needed a job while they figured out their stuff. Or, like, I've worked at the Starbucks for 10 years. Like, I'm almost 30, you know? It's like, I've been working here since I'm 16, and, like, I'm getting a PhD, you know what I mean? So they're still working there, you know what I mean? So, like, all walks of life. Then I go, long story short, trade stores, and now I become a shift manager at this store where I am older than the person running it. My last, you know, I'm older than the person running it, and I met people that I would never have met otherwise. Yeah. You know, I met multiple trans people working at that store and worked alongside. And again, the same kind of thing. Like you said, like who else could you be coming from, you know, I graduated high school in 2007, or I graduated high school in 2007, you know? So if you think about how it was in the early 2000s, you know, everything, even the lingo that we use, you know, I remember I had a pass back in the day, and that pass has been given back. You know what I mean? Because there's certain words shouldn't be said anymore. Certain words shouldn't exist and shouldn't leave the mouths of people, like you had said earlier, because certain words have too much power. or have power in the negative directions, or you know what I mean? Like, and like, but 10 years ago, and maybe it was because we were kids, it was funny. It was us. It was whatever, you know?
Right.
And now that's not okay. You know what I mean? Whereas the same thing, like everything was gay. Like, that's gay. You're gay.
Yeah.
That's stupid. That's gay.
OD,
you know
all
what
day.
I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's gay.
And you know what's hilarious? You know what's hilarious? We went through all of that, and like you were talking earlier about like how like, you know, the binary like situation is not real. Like, dude, I'm super feminine in so many ways. Like, and I accepted it, and I'm way happier with my life. Like, I'm straight. I have a girlfriend who I love, but it's also like, hey, sometimes I'm just like, sometimes I got my hand on my hip, and I don't even notice, you know, and I'm like leaned, like, I'm like so like, just like
I do
there.
the same thing.
But like, a couple of years ago, I would have been like, why am I doing that? Like a couple of years ago, I would have been like if I saw somebody else doing the same thing, I would have been so like, right. Like, I know dudes who like do this all day because they have to look like that thing. And it's like, dude, what if it's okay if it's not you? Like, I was thinking the other day, like, there's so many guys who are like, dude, you kind of sweet, bro. Like, you're not a hardcore beat everybody up kind of person. Like, that's not who you are. And you're trying to be that.
And that I train that, and I'm not that. I'm okay with that.
But like, forcing yourself to be that is taking so much away from who you actually are. Like, just take a step back. Like, just take a step back and just look at yourself for a second. You know what I mean? Like, who do you actually want to be? Like, we are makeups of masculine and feminine energy all fucking day. So like, dude, yeah, sometimes I'm chilling, man, and I'm not worried about it. Dude, I just started taking care of my hair, and like, because like, this is stuff that I was supposed to have been doing for years, and I'm just learning how to do it. Like, my girlfriend's teaching me, like, oh, if you do this, then your hair will do this. And I'm like, I had no idea.
And then there's me, who's in a relationship with a hairdresser, who's like recommending her products.
All kinds of stuff. Hey, you should try this. Did she ever just put it in your hair?
I'm the one that's like, have you tried using a leave-in 3 times a week? You know what I mean? Like, I'm taking such great. I'm just so blessed that I have it. You know what I mean? There's like this genetic line in my family where it's like, you have it or you don't. Yeah. And I have it, and I'm so happy, and I'm so happy that I have it, and I'm so blessed that I have it. That I even like do affirmations with my hairline. I'll be like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm so blessed that I have such a low and thick, full hairline, and I love it so much that I have all this hair. You know what I mean?
Dude, I want to say,
yeah,
when I was like 26-ish, 27, somewhere around that, everybody started going bald around me. And it's funny to talk to you and hear you say this now. I'm like, oh shit, you might be one of my friends with hair. That's crazy. Because so many of them don't.
I have so many friends who like had awesome hair when we were kids, and like,
it's so crazy now, because it's like, you didn't think about that before, but now my guys are talking about it. But I can't. I'm not going anywhere, so I'm just like, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say to you, man.
Yeah, like a friend of mine today, we're working out together, and he's like, oh, dude, I got to put a head wrap on or some shit because it's just falling into my eyes. And I'm like, feels bad, man. Oh, man. And I feel bad, too. And then again, I'm like, oh, karma's going to get me. But you know what? Karma's not going to get me, because I'm so grateful and so blessed to have this low, full, thick hairline and all this hair that I love to have, that I condition and take care of and give myself scalp massages. So I'm so grateful, and I'm so appreciative of the fact that I have this hair that people compliment that I love to have. It's part of who I am. You know what I mean? But then again, like, you know, like if I ended up going bald and I bicked it, I would like grow like the illest beard. You know what I mean? I would like have to do something.
It'd be something else.
Because don't get me wrong, like, I'm also trying to be like a podcast host and have a successful content on YouTube and Instagram and stuff. I'm obviously a person that enjoys being the center of attention. I don't shy away from that. Like, I like that. And I think that's what makes me good at being in front of a room. That's what makes me good at speaking to people. That's what makes me good at that. And I used to feel bad about being made fun of about those kinds of things. It's like, you're not supposed to be that kind of person. But I feel like now that I understand things like that, and I can be be kind of like a positive light. You know, I want to be able to be that positive beacon for people.
Yeah.
That you can like you can joke around and you can be you and you can have a pass and you can do shit. Excuse me, and then you can burp all over your podcast, and then you can but you can also be a good person and you can learn from the mistakes that you make. That's why I fucking love telling people that I dropped out of high school. People are like, why do you want to like my ex? You know what I mean? Like my ex used to be like, don't tell people that, it makes you sound stupid. I was like, no, it doesn't. I dropped out of high school and now I have a college degree. Eat it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I graduated with a 3.7. Eat it. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I didn't want to go to high school, so I didn't. I wanted to be a great massage therapist, so I studied. And that was the difference. Because I have a learning disability. I can't focus on something I don't give a shit about. I'll never know math. I'll never know math. I don't care.
What is,
I do not care. There are people that are good at that, and I will talk about them and love them very much because I am not. I don't care. I don't care. Good for you. It's very necessary. It's very necessary. And it's very unnecessary for me to be the one that's good at that. I'll tell you how to punch people, and I'll tell you what you need to do to fix your neck that hurts. You know what I mean? Like, or I'll fix it for you. You know, that's the other thing about understanding that, like, we're not a binary whatever. I touch people for a living. I'm a massage therapist. I rub people for a living. You know what I mean?
That's gay,
like, yeah, it's gay. You know, that's super gay. I've had people be like, "Oh, dude, you should have heard when I quit the diesel shop to go to school for massage therapy because I wanted to be I want to be an acupuncturist. I funny enough, we talk about like allowing things to happen. I had an interview today, and I have an office. So I have an office 3 days a week. It's pretty cool. So templepodcast.net. Book an appointment today. Comac, Comac, New York.
Shameless plug.
Comac. Shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
Feed me. I'm hungry. You know what I mean? Like,
yo, it'd be like that.
My gas tank is empty.
It'd be like that. I mean? Tell people what you do, man.
Yeah, absolutely. But like that was the thing. It's like I knew I wanted to help people. I knew I wanted to own a kung fu school one day, and I wanted to be able to fix. Like I saw my teacher. He learned certain acupuncture techniques through word of mouth, through just like the history of the system and like what his teachers knew. But he never got a degree or a license to legally practice in it. So like he didn't practice acupuncture, but like you have a splitting headache, you're having a migraine, here, come into my office, and you pull out a couple of needles and boom, 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 and all of a sudden you're better. You know what I mean? I hurt my leg, boom, 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 slap a couple of needles, and all of a sudden you feel better. And I was like, so there's something to this. And then when I had my knee surgery and I started getting massage and acupuncture, I was like, that helped more than physical therapy. There's something to it. You know? And I wanted to be a part of that wave. I wanted to be a part of that understanding. There's more to this life and this universe and this world than what has been, again, advertising, packaged and marketed and sold to you because it feeds the machine that makes greedy people money.
Right.
And because I dropped out of high school, I had to make a decision. And that was go back to school for liberal arts and get a degree in nothing, or go back to school for massage therapy and learn more about the field and become a double threat when I finally get to go back to school for my combined bachelor's, master's, and get my acupuncture. And I decided to do that and to see what I could do with massage therapy. And at the very least, I'll get my personal trainer certification. I can be a personal trainer that's been allowed to do manual therapy on his clients. So I did it the opposite way. Now I'm doing my personal trainer's education, and I am a licensed massage therapist. And I got called bitch, I got called faggot, I got called, you know, all this type of shit. Because
for being a massage therapist?
Because I wanted to go back to school for massage therapy and was working in a diesel shop in an environment I knew I couldn't be in because my boss had a picture of a monkey with a banana as a phone that said Obama on it, and everybody was for real. And I'm like no joke. He tried to request me on Facebook the other day, like, get the fuck out of here. No way. You know what I mean? I'm probably wondering if I'm still a mechanic because he probably needs people. You know what I mean? And I got nothing but the shit under the stick the whole time I was there. Oh, you know, and I'm trying a diet, I'm trying to this, and I'm not eating meat. I was vegetarian for a long time. You remember that? Yeah. That was another thing. You're gay because you have respect for life. You know what I mean? So stupid. And everywhere I went, I got stuck with the same thing. And I decided that it was God trying to send me a message. You know what I mean? Whether you believe in God or whatever your version of God is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I decided,
so me
too. And I decided it was God trying to send me a message that, like, this isn't working out for me everywhere I go because it's not where I'm supposed to be. And everything has serendipitously fallen into place. Right. I had a dream one day that, you know, look out for 88s, because anything with a series of 8s is going to be something you need to pay attention to. And then the phone number of the person who offered me the deal for the office, not only is the acupuncturist for the parents of that doctor that we were talking about earlier, which is also very serendipitous, but his phone number ends in 888. And I was like, maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm not, but this seems like the best. And that's kind of how I treat everything. I might be crazy, but shit works, so whatever.
But that's really, I think that's where we vibed immediately, because I'm very much like that as well.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna pretend that something won't work. You know what I mean? I'm gonna vet it. I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna go, okay, but we could try something. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna pretend that something will work. Hey, it might blow up in my face, but I'm gonna try. Like, I'm going to give it a shot. Like, I'm going to pull up. Like,
so many massage therapists come out there and they, like, pretend to be this, like, welcome to Temple Wellness Massage Therapy. I am here. Like, I do Reiki, too. But, like, if I'm going to do, like, I don't advertise it because, like, you have to know me in order for me to do Reiki with you. And, like, I do Reiki, but, like, I'm a Qigong practitioner by trade almost, you know? Like, obviously, like, I have definitely focused, like, my teacher's going to listen to this and be like, you motherfucker, that you didn't wear in Tai Chi class on Tuesday. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? But it's like, because some days, even with Tai Chi, I'll be like, I can take a day off today. But, you know? Right. And I shouldn't do that. I've definitely taken my externals training a lot more seriously than my internals, but like my internals are the foundation for my trade now. Right. Like I practice it a little bit every day, and I've definitely taken it more as to who I am. So like I'm doing Qigong, but like I have my Reiki certification. So like whatever you want to call it, it's the same thing. It's just energy work. Whether you're using this, you know, understanding that the symbols in Reiki do a certain thing, or whether you understand that through Qigong, like the visualization of what you're doing with your energy is all that matters. All that symbol represents is a way to set intention. So they're teaching you the same thing, whether it's Reiki, whether it's Qigong, and the life lesson that teaches you is that you have to set intention. If you walk blindly, and that's why what's the point of porn? What's the point of that? We were having that conversation via text message about NoFap, you know? I think stuff like that is important. But I think stuff like that's important to talk about. Again, it's taboo. You're not supposed to talk about it. But it's something that everybody does. If you are a man and you are above the age of 12 and you're lying. You're lying. You're lying.
I mean, to a degree. And like, to a degree.
Yeah, to a degree. And I mean, like, and obviously, like, there's a time and place for that, or it wouldn't exist either. But at the same time, like, we're in this culture of, like, every day, all the time, forever, never harnessing that energy. In Chinese medicine, we consider that part of your jing that doesn't come back. You know, you get energy from your parents, and you get energy from food and the earth, and like that's what you try to use so that you don't tap into the other energy. But every time you do that, you use a little bit of that. So if you drain that completely, you have no constitution left. And then you end up in a deficient state. So you're not supposed to do that all the time, but you're supposed to have a healthy sex life and a healthy relationship to sex. And the only way to do that is to talk about it. It keeps coming up a lot. So I feel like there's got to be somebody out there that's supposed to hear that. You know what I mean?
Boom. I think it might have been me. It might have been me, dog.
It might have been you.
It might have been me.
Because it's also creative energy. What can you create when you're not like when you know what I mean? When you're harnessing that for something that's better. And then back to the whole like non-binary thing, you know, like or not even non-binary, but like our concepts of what masculinity, what feminism is, what humanism is, what anthropology is to people, you know, what history actually is. there's so much out there that if you just do your research, your mind might be changed. And again, my mind about a lot of things was changed by one of the smartest kids I've ever met in my life. And I say kid reluctantly because he's 23 now, you know, but I'm 31, old man Ed. But
I'm still
this
23.
person whose name I won't say because I have asked them to be on the show and they're still making their decision. But is a trans person. And he I never knew. And then he told me one day and I was like, for real?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah. I was like, cool.
Word.
You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, you're like the fucking smartest person I've ever met. So like, why am I going to have a debate with you about what your decision about your life was?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But I'll debate the shit out of you about giving an 8-year-old hormones. You know what I mean? Like that's where I draw the line. Is that you have to let adults make the decisions about their permanent health, and you need to then educate the youth so that when they get to that age where they can make that choice, you know what I mean?
They make that choice.
They can make that choice. And then until then, you foster the positive behavior. So whether your biological son is trans and they're 13, 14, or they're 10, 11 years old and they start experimenting with dress and they want to do whatever, and you have that conversation with them and you know what I mean? Like, and you are healthy about it. That's all it is. It's about being healthy about it. But if you start medicating and you start doing things like that, you can cause some serious health problems that, you know what I mean? Like kids change their minds, and anything that you present needs to be dealt with love and with respect and with time. Nothing should be jumped into. Everything should be thought about, and everything should, anything like that should be an educated decision. And the human body needs to develop naturally and organically and holistically before anything like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before you can then, if you're not developed and you mess with your hormones, you could really cause some serious issues down the line to your endocrine system that may never really be. Like, I know a woman, and this is just an example because it is a hormone medication, a woman that took birth control, pastor's wife, very, very sweet lady, who can never have kids because birth control permanently altered the way her ovaries work. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, what if you suddenly wake up one day and you decide, but then, that's a very taboo and controversial topic. I don't know a lot about it, but that's the kind of things that I would talk about. And it would be like, I understand that, but and even though we disagree on certain things, we agreed to disagree because we have our own place, just like my hometown. Yeah. We have our own place that we're coming from that alters our perspective, that gives us our own unique, beautiful interpretation of the world. And as long as you're coming from a place of love and respect, then nothing really should matter. You know what I mean?
Right. I'm inclined to agree with pretty much everything you just said. But I think what I tend to do is I remove myself from the equation, where I go, hey, that's all well and good where that person is in that place, and that's where they are. You know, like, like I said, I'm inclined to agree with you. Like, an 8-year-old having hormones for anything probably doesn't sound like a good idea. But also, if y'all do that, I hope it goes well. I'm not going to be like, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to stop you from doing it. I'm going to be like, you sure? And if you're like, yeah, I'm like, I hope it goes well. And if it doesn't, I'm like, you guys all right? You know what I mean? Like,
and then the grind continues. Then it's like, okay, well then let me try, like, if I can help you anyway, I'll find you some articles and how that can help you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
and you know what? Like, that's great that you're like that, because I'm not like that. If you say that you're going to make that decision, you need to look that up, and you need to do your stuff to make sure you're on point and you're doing everything that you need to do. I'm over here drawing pictures. I'm over here doing advertising and stuff. Like, that's what I'm doing.
Well,
you know
for somebody I care about, obviously.
No, I feel that. But even, like, honestly, even extending to the people closer to me and the people that, I do consider my friends, lovers, whatever situations might be, it's always like that degree of separation where I have to tell myself, like, okay, I'm not you. You are going to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, how you want to do it, why you want to do it. That's your life, and that's going to be your life. I can have all the opinions I want. I can tell you all the opinions I want. You don't have to listen to any of them, and you don't have to consider any of them, and you don't have to do any of them. Or you could do all of them, which is also just as possibly a problem, that you're only doing things that I tell you to do. You know what I mean? So when it comes to...
That's exactly how I feel about this show.
When it comes to the connection with people, it's always going to be, hey, I'm going to stay this far away from your situation. I'm going to pay attention to what you're doing and pay attention to what you're saying and paying attention to what you're feeling. And in the ways that I connect with you, I'm going to make sure that I can be as positive as I can. And I'm going to make sure that we can keep this a healthy form of communication between us. But, hey, man, if you make a grave to lie down in, dude, I'll throw flowers on it, man. But like, it's like, yo, you still dug the hole. I'm not the guy who's gonna stop you from digging the hole, and I realize that about myself, which is why I'm like, this teaching stuff is not really gonna be a thing for me, because
That's okay.
I'm gonna watch somebody jump off a cliff, and I'm gonna be like, did they make it? And if they didn't, and somebody goes, why didn't you tell him? I'm gonna be like, yo, he wanted to do it. Like, that's literally the only response I got. So I'm like, hey, probably don't put me in charge of a classroom. That's probably not the thing to do. But hey, if I do some cool stuff and it's positive and it's great, and y'all think, hey, we want to do that too, I'll be like, yo, good luck. You know what I mean? If you want to ask me a question, sure, why not?
Everybody's got their role to play. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everybody's got their role to play. Everybody's got their thing that they're good at, that they want to do. You know what I mean? Like, I fell into teaching and I fell in love with it, you know? So like, talking to people and trying to guide people and helping people, like, that's just part of who I am. That's like my thing that I do, you know? You, on the other hand, you do what you're doing, and you put it out there and hope that people enjoy it. And if they do, great. And if they don't, great.
Next thing.
You know? And there's something to be said for that mindset and that attitude as well, you know? Like, and like we were saying before about like the whole understanding of your role and what's being marketed to you too. You can say the same thing about art, that it's like, it's gay. You know what I mean? Like, that's gay. You know what I mean?
You know
like,
what's
that's
weird?
Gay.
We did, like I said, like, we did that for so many years. And like, dude, like, when I go, like, I'll go dancing by myself. Like, I don't care. I'll go dancing by myself. I'll be just dancing around people. You know, I don't need a posse. I don't need like any of that. And I know mad of my guy friends who, not even my guy friends, my guy acquaintances really, because my guy friends know me and don't care. My guy acquaintances will be like, what? And I go to places like, out here, there's a place called Bossa Nova. Yeah, like, it's super gay. You know what I mean? Like, there's like, everyone's like, you know, like, in their vibe doing their thing, and I love it. I love every part of it. I've been flirted with mad times there because I'm cute. You know what I mean? Like, that, it's like, dude, like, a straight guy would be like, yo, it's mad weird. It's like, no, that person's attracted to you because you're attractive. This is a compliment. What are you doing? What are you upset about? What did you like? What do you like? I said to a bunch of friends once, I'm like, I'll never understand like homophobia, because what is the fear? Is the fear that one day you're gonna say yes? Like, what is the fear?
Well,
like, what is I don't get it. One day this guy's gonna bag you. One day this guy's gonna be so suave that you're gonna be like, damn it. I gotta get in there.
It's the same, but like, it's the same thing as anything, you know? There's these old world ideals and views that are false and that are evil and that aren't real. And then you're brought up to believe that you were a male and this is what it means to be a male, and that that's the end of it, and this is how you have to be, or you know what I mean? Like, you know what's a good write-off? That people that don't say like that's gay anymore, like you're gay or whatever, you're a pussy, that don't that they know it's not okay to talk to that anymore, but they keep that idea. They
stick
alive.
with it. Yeah, they're still going, right?
You know what they say? Like, okay, that's weird.
Yeah,
weird.
Exactly.
That's
they're just down here now. They're just like
now. Like, it's not like it's like the levels of confidence in their bigotry is like, faggot, that's gay,
right?
That's weird. You know what I mean? Like that's how it goes in like the levels of their bigotry, like what they're willing to say out loud. And what's happening a lot now that's beautiful is that people are getting exposed. exposed.
Yeah.
You know, they're getting exposed for just how terrible their programming is. It's not them, it's their programming, because everybody has the opportunity to change their mind through education, which I think should be presented and out there. You know what I mean?
Right.
And a big part of that too is like, you ever heard about the Gay Panic Act?
The Gay Panic Act.
I forget what states, but in certain states it's legal to like murder or assault a homosexual or a trans person based on like the Gay Panic Act, where like if you think someone's trying to come on to you for being gay, you're allowed to assault them, to beat them off you, because there's this misconception that like gay guys are going to rape you. You know what I mean?
All right. See, and that's the thing that pisses me off the most, where it's like, hey, if a man is trying to rape you, that's a rapist. Like, that's it. End of conversation. End of conversation. End of conversation. Doesn't matter at all. Doesn't matter at all anything else. If someone is trying to assault you for any reason, boom. We're not, what are we talking about anymore? Fight or flight, let's go. You know what I mean? That's it.
Well, yeah, well, so think like Buffalo Bill. You know what I mean? Buffalo Bill, Hollywood's interpretation of like, what's the scariest character? Oh, you know what? We'll make him a deranged gay guy who wants to be a woman, who, you know, like, I love Silence of the Lambs. It is a brilliant film. But if you think about what they used in order to get into people's heads and make it a psychological thriller, it's all based on how afraid people are of different ideas, and how like, you know, anybody who's trans is considered, again, strained or off or mentally whatever. There's people that talk about like gender dysphoria, which that also is real and exists. So it's not a matter of staying on one side, because not one person knows everything.
You can't.
It's about,
exactly.
It's about,
you can't say this is the whole thing. Oh, this one thing that we found is everything. No, you can't do that. Like, there's so many instances. There's so much nuance. Because everybody's different. Like, yeah, we can fall into larger groups in different ways, shapes, and forms, but everybody's absolutely different from the person standing next to them every time. Like, every time.
So what if, crazy thought, what if we lived in a society, since we're like, you know, the richest nation on earth, that can afford to give people $600 a week and like still have like not an economy and like whatever, you know, just, you know, throwing out crazy situations that'll never happen. What if we lived in a country that made it like accessible to get mental help and healthcare? What a concept. What if like I didn't have to figure out and take 10 years to get through mental conditions that I have because I couldn't afford treatment, therapy for learning disabilities and for emotional problems and anxiety disorders and all that kind of stuff. What if somebody who's going through that transition at a young age could be like, oh, we have a therapist for that. Would you like to go talk to your therapist? So there's a trained professional who can either guide them through the process or diagnose a condition.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be like in order for me to start a business right now, I had to forego the security of healthcare in an economy where we're not allowed to not have healthcare. So am I going to have to pay a fine on my tax at the end of the year for not having healthcare? Yes. But I also can't afford, I can't pay for that and eat. In this time right now where like I'm losing unemployment, trying to start a business, and now at the same time, like, we'll have just enough clients that I can like hopefully talk about missing some rent for a week or two, because you know what I mean? Like, you know, like maybe give me a break for a little bit so like my ex-wife and like if I get into a car accident, so long. Right. You know what I mean? Because or so long, or here's my $200,000 bill that I'll be paying for the rest of my life to the hospital. You know, like it's a crazy risk that you have to take in a country that can afford to do so much and can afford to give police forces grenade launchers they don't need, and can afford to have multiple wars in multiple countries that cost trillions of dollars, but can't afford to take care of its own people. So like, if you're letting people, again, in that big fish, little fish mentality, if you're living in that big fish, little fish mentality, where does it leave room for people like us? You have to have stories and be lucky, because we're people that we're both two people that have an uncommon amount of drive, the ability to fake confidence to the point that it then manifests itself as real, and dedication to something that they're passionate about to a point where it's irrational.
Right.
So this irrational dedication to this thing that you must do, then through the gift of intelligence that you have, you figure out a way to make it work. Not everybody's that smart. You know what I mean?
I don't know, man.
And that's why I wanted to tell, your story too, because, you just fucking did it forever. And that's the lesson that people can learn from you, is to just, like, you might not be a teacher, but it doesn't mean people can't learn stuff from you. And that's do it. To just do the thing that you love.
Yeah. And I think I'm there more than I've ever been. And hey, there's levels to this shit, Like, I don't want anybody to think that at every instance I just, like, did my best, because I fucking didn't. I dropped the ball so many times, so many times.
You're not sitting around fucking feeling bad for yourself
right.
About it.
It go. Well, that's the thing. Like, sometimes you do, Are You Dying came from a 5-year depression. You met me during it, honestly. Yeah. You didn't see, like, a lot of parts of it because I wasn't showing that to people, but I was in a place where I was upset. I was sad. I didn't know what to do with myself, because long story short, I got into art school and then I couldn't stay there, because for as long as I had been telling everybody, hey, I'm going to go to art school, I guess nobody believed me. So when I actually got in, financially there were some issues, and then I was so upset about the whole thing that I never even tried to remedy it. I got in my own way too, where I was so upset that I couldn't go to the school that I wanted to go to, that I refused to go to any other art programs anywhere else. And that's how I ended up at Lincoln, man. That's like, I was just like wandering.
And I remember we used to go visit that school together. We would visit your old classmates.
Yeah, man. It was a weird time for me, because it's like I got to taste it. I got to taste the thing that I always said I wanted to do. And it did taste just as good as I thought it would. And there was so much more to it. And then it got halted in a way that I couldn't reconcile with for a really long time. So for all of the nonsense and fun times and everything that I put myself through, a big part of it was me running away from the pain of not being able to, of getting so close to the thing and not being able to actually touch it. Getting so close to the thing and not being able to actually do it. And I went so hard, like I almost was like, well, like I said, like it was like dying. And I was just like, well, if I'm going to die, then I'm going to go out like in like glory, So I focused on a lot of bullshit and pushed really hard to do a lot of things that didn't really matter that much, I guess in the grand scheme of things. But hey, I had a lot of fun because I think my heart was still in the right place. I still enjoyed the things that I did. We went to a lot of places and drank a lot of drinks, and I knew a lot of girls, and it was really fun. But it was also like,
it's fun, but it's empty.
It wasn't the thing. It wasn't even empty. It just wasn't the thing that I wanted to do. It wasn't empty. It was less full than the thing that I knew was going to make me like actually full. The thing that was really going to satiate the hunger that I had was something different. And I wasn't really pushing it. I wasn't really going towards it. I wasn't really trying to make it happen anymore. Not like I used to, but I did refuse to give up. It got really dark. And in that darkness, I realized that I didn't want to die. Like, I realized that that living was more important to me than anything else, because there was a story there. I didn't want my story to end in this sad, dark place. Like it didn't make sense for everything that I had gone through up until this point. For like, you know, we laugh and joke about all the little escapades and fun stuff, but it's like, to me, it's like those nights were golden. So I didn't want those nights to end up me just in this dark room by myself. And
now, I
that's the
think it might
last
be
phase.
important. I think it might be important for people that are going through it. When you were at your darkest, what were the things that you were thinking? What was going on in your life when you were at your darkest?
Man, this is after I had the advertising job. That place was hell in a lot of different ways. It was a brand new thing, and I was getting paid for my mind in a weird way. So it was like, oh, this is cool. You know, I like this, and you know, there were elements of what I wanted to do, and I fell in love with advertising for what it was. But sadly, the company I was working at, they didn't feel that way about it. Nice of you.
Yeah.
They were businessmen, you know. They were the sales team, you know. They were
Right.
put money in the account, but that's really all they ever thought about. They didn't manage their clients well. They didn't manage their employees well, and so there were a lot of fires all the time, and we couldn't even focus on making things good enough for people because we were always trying to put out these damn fires all the time. And it just got so far away from what I was being hired to do that I was just like, I'm not doing this anymore. And then, you know, they got like touchy with it. You know, there were personal feelings involved. You know, they would put blame on other people to try and like kind of shy away from their own mistakes, you know, which is what a lot of companies do. And it's coming out now that a lot of companies do it, and they do these horrible things to people and then blame somebody, fire one guy, hire a new CEO, and then do the same terrible shit to a whole nother group of people. But that's where I was, and it's soul crushing. You know, it's soul crushing to be on the phone with a client and be talking to them about all this stuff that, you know, they want to do and da-da-da-da. And you know that you're about to walk into a meeting where the president of the company tells you that you're not going to do any of that stuff for the client who paid you to do that stuff. And it was like, it's soul sucking. Like I got to a point where I was just like, I hate everything here. And there was so much there that I actually liked and I knew that I liked, but it was just so hard to go there. It was hard to be at work because it just made me feel like this is a lie. Like all of this is a lie. Like all of this is bullshit. You're not actually doing what you want to do. And then you're doing this, which is kind of cool, but even this is fake. You know what I mean? Like what are you doing? And I quit that job, and it was a good job. I was head of my department, man. I had a desk, I had my own office. Like it was great. It was great. But at the same time, like it wasn't worth it. So I quit in the middle of a project that I actually cared about. But like I just couldn't sustain it. You know, like I couldn't stay there and watch them burn that to the ground too. So I left, started working at this ramen restaurant as a dishwasher, which is a huge segue now. Like you go from having a desk and an office and you're hiring people and you're doing interviews and stuff, you know, and people have to meet your standards, to you washing dishes. Literally like people's noodles that they just ate from are falling out of these bowls, and you're like, you know, like your hands are in this water, you know. I used to leave and my fingers would be just like soaked in like that like rubbery just feeling, you know, and that like my whole body would be just like wet from all the splashing and like the heat of the dryer and all this stuff. Like it was crazy. And in a weird way, I almost felt happier because at least when I left, I could see that the dishes were clean.
The work was honest.
Right.
It was honest work.
I could see the fucking dishes were clean. Like it wasn't like, oh, I wash the dishes and then they go behind some curtain and I have no idea. And then people are coming in and complaining, oh, these dishes are dirty. You know what I mean? And I'm like, wait, but what happened? Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like it was honest work, but it was also not what I wanted to do.
Right.
I was now just in another place where I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. And then I got fired from that place because the owner fired me after a snowstorm because I couldn't make it. And I'm like, are you serious? I have to dig my car out of this. Like, of course I'm not going to make it in time. Like, what are you talking about? And then I'm the dishwasher. Who's coming to the restaurant? And then the guy after me decided he was gonna like skirt off and like not really give a shit. So then they had nobody to cover, so they blamed it all on me. And hey, and it's like, okay, I've come every day and done honest work since the day I came here, and then the one day there's a fucking snowstorm, you fire me? Like,
It's called being the new guy.
right, exactly. And
They
dude,
can take all this shit out on you.
dude, it hurt like hell. I sat in my car and I cried because I didn't know what the hell to do with myself at that point, man. I went to my girlfriend's house. I told her I got fired. She was there with me digging the car out, you know, when all the snow shit happened. So it was like, yo, like, she was heartbroken. I was heartbroken. Beautiful girl. Wonderful time. I was just sad, you know, like, a couple weeks after that, I broke up with her because I couldn't even deal. Like, I couldn't even deal with what was happening. Like, I was just sad, and I knew I was sad, and I didn't know why I was sad, but I was so sad. And I looked around, and I looked at everything that I had, and nothing really did it for me anymore. You know, like, I feel bad about breaking her heart all the time, you know? And
Yeah.
I feel bad about breaking my own heart, you know, and putting myself in a position to mourn over something that I wasn't even really putting effort into because I was so sad. You know, it was crazy. Like, the whole thing was crazy. And I spent that summer in my room, smoking joints, staring out a window, and I didn't do anything. I baked myself into a corner because I just was like, there was nothing else to do. Like, that's really how I felt. Like, I just felt like there was nothing else to do. Like, you couldn't do the thing you wanted to do. You tried something else, which is supposedly what everybody wants you to do. You had an executive position at a pretty decent company doing artsy-ish stuff. People were like, "Whoa, you know, you did it. Like, you're great. I don't know how you got here because you did this whole windy nonsense to get there, but yo, you're here." And it was cool for like, you know, 3 to 6 months, and then I hated myself at the end of the year. You know what I mean? I hated myself a year later. You know, and then after that, nonsense, and then getting fired. Like, you're a dishwasher and you got fired. Like, I was holding so much against myself. And,
energy is real. Energy is real.
I was holding so much of it.
Some people, especially like artistic people, are very empathic. You have a lot of that ability to tap into what things feel like.
Right.
And like, that's why I had to leave the environment of those shops. Like, the environment of that place was, and very similar. You know what I mean? Like, oh, just fix it. Just do something. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, but this isn't like, this whole thing should get replaced. And it's like, well, they're not going to pay for it, so just make it work. Which there's something to be said about that too, but not in a way where it's like you feel like you're kind of ripping off the customer. Or like,
right.
You know, I learned very quickly that it was not what I wanted to do, and I was around people who were not who I wanted to be, and there were parts of them that rubbed off on me that then became parts of me I didn't like.
And I didn't like. Exactly. So I'm sitting here asking myself all these dumb questions. I'm sitting here asking stuff, none of it that pertains to me. It's all just a little voice in your head that doubts everything you do. It's all just the little whispers and dumb shit that people have said to you in your life, and you start asking yourself, well, are they right? Well, is this true? And then that becomes your whole world suddenly, and now you don't know what to do with yourself. And dude, I left that girl, attempted to get back with an ex of mine who was toxic. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Dude, I don't even want to talk about how fucking unrealistic that entire thing was, and you would not listen.
Dude.
Would not listen.
Dude.
I'm not saying shit.
Dude,
I'm not going to say anything else.
Dude, listen, it just got to the point.
Told you.
But listen, it blew up immediately. Like, it wasn't even good for a little bit.
How much of my shit has like, you told me, like, hey, that's not gonna go right.
Yo.
And I'm like, shut the fuck up.
But but that's the thing. It's about what you want to do. You know what I mean? Like, hey, if you want to do some dumb shit that'll ruin your life, you'll do it. Like, that's what humans are like. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to do it, if you have a desire to do it, that's what advertising is. You're trying to create a desire for something. The problem is that they really be trying to create it when it's really not there. It's like, you're doing too much. You have to find things that people like and then say, hey, this is why it's good. And then you push that for as long as it's supply and demand. If the demand is there, then you find a way to make the supply happen and to make the supply efficient. That's advertising. What motherfuckers are trying to do now is they're trying to make fake demand for supplies that they just have. And I'm like, that's not how this works. That's not how capitalism works. And they have the audacity to quote capitalism when stuff blows up and we're like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? It's like, you weren't doing capitalism in the first place. You're not even paying attention to the streams of revenue that are coming in and out of your company. But
like the geniuses that are like, I'm going to show you how to sell on Amazon. What that really means is, like, you bought like 10,000 hats that you thought were going to sell, and they didn't sell. So now you got to convince other people that they should buy the hats so they can try to sell the hats that won't sell.
And hey, being a good salesperson is a skill. It is something that you can learn, and it is something that you can do well, and it is something that you can make money off of. But
with great power comes great responsibility. Yes.
What are you selling people? Why are you selling it to them? How much of it are you trying to unload onto people in order to get yourself somewhere else? And how willing are you to let that crash and burn all around you? Like, I don't get, like, I've spoken to men in suits, and I don't know, it's different. I hate, like, I don't even like suits. Like, I hate getting dressed up. Like, I hate all of that. I'll do some, like, kind of in the middle.
I
like,
look damn good in a suit. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
And listen,
I like wearing suits.
Listen, for every time that I've put on a suit, I've probably gotten some pussy. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you about that. And that's
true.
That's
it's
how
always
rare.
Different when you're out with somebody that you're with. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, if you're out with somebody that you're with, the night that you go out in a suit, when you come home, it's not a normal night.
Right, because it's a suit. It's different.
It's a suit.
You look different. I've seen a girl look at me and think I was cute. I've seen that same girl look at me in a suit, and it's a different look. It's a different look completely. But also, those guys in those suits represented a falsehood to me that was so palpable by just the way that they carried themselves. It's like, dude, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you do. And I don't know what you've done. That's the real thing that I think people miss out on. It's like, oh, what do you do? And it's like, no, fuck what you do. What have you done? Because you can tell me, hey, I'm CFO of this place. That's great. I know a lot of CFOs who have embezzled a lot of money. That doesn't mean anything to me, man. What have you done? How many people have you helped? How many lives have you changed in the positive? That's where I'm at, and that's the way that I kind of look at. That's the way I was looking at people before I was an executive anywhere. So then when I did that and I made that like lane and was in that space, I was being that person around a bunch of people who weren't being that person, and it was really hard. Like, it was crazy hard. It was just difficult. Like, people we have deadlines. All right, we have deadlines, and we have like dates where we have to have people there to do whatever campaign we put together for this company. We have to have people on the ground selling something with banners behind them or whatever's supposed to be there at the place. Like, when you go to a bazaar or like a marketplace or a supermarket, all the pictures of apples and stuff, somebody has to choose those pictures. Somebody has to take those pictures. Somebody has to choose the pictures. Somebody has to choose which apples are going to go in the picture. And then someone has to size them to the size of the whatever thing in the supermarket is. Like, if it's going to be a big banner, that has to be big enough to go across the whole wall. Or if it's a small banner that's just going to go in this little thing, whether it's packaging on the stuff that the strawberries are in, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, somebody has to do that. So you'll have a guy whose job it is to do that, and he didn't do it. You have to email that guy and be like, hey, I need this. And if he doesn't give it to you, you have to figure it out yourself, because the thing needs to get done. Because if the thing doesn't get done, someone's going to call you and they're going to ask you, hey, why isn't this thing done? And in the wrong place, you're going to get blamed for it, even though you did your job and somebody else didn't do theirs. Like, that's the environment that a lot of execs are living in. That's the environment that a lot of just anybody is living in, because you might not be an exec yourself, but all the trickle down of that bullshit is happening where you are. That's why you guys are getting shipments of stuff that you don't need yet, but you don't have anywhere to store it. So now your manager is on the phone with it. That's why they have managers. It's just people that they can annoy, like with all of their bullshit. Like,
oh my God, I love the people that I worked with, but I hated being a manager. So
dude, it's the worst. It's the worst. It's the worst.
And people. And like I knew I was leaving that job too, so like towards the end, I was like telling customers to fuck off. You know what I mean? Like I remember there's this girl that I worked with, and she's like very, very pretty and petite. You know what I mean? Not very imposing at all. So I guess that made certain people feel like they could push her around certain customers.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I remember because like, oh, she's just this cute little girl. What does she know? You know?
Right.
So like. I remember she was getting screamed at the thing, and I'm supposed to come over and be like, "Is there a problem? What's going on?" and find out. And I run up to the window. I'm like, "Why the hell is she getting yelled at?" You know? I'm the manager. I'm who you want to speak to, Karen. You know what I mean? Like that's that was me. You know, I remember I had one customer that I like threw out of the store because they talked shit to one of my employees, and I was like, "Get out right now!" Like I just didn't care. I said exactly how I felt, like, and like that. But that job brought that out in me, and I didn't like that. I didn't want to be like that. I don't want to have those kinds of interactions with people. But I also appreciate the fact that I know that somebody is so miserable and so pent up with their own life that their chai is the only thing that's going to make their day okay. And if you fuck it up, so help you. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's.
The system you're describing is what creates that.
Exactly. And when I say like I was in that dark place, like that's how I felt. Like I didn't even have the chai. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't even, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't even that. Like it was literally just me in this place, feeling sorry for myself, feeling terrible, feeling like nothing was going to work and no one was going to care and there was nothing to be said. And that's where I was. And
let's go back to the days of listening to Das Racist and driving to the Chinese food place.
Das Racist was great. Das Racist was amazing. Like, and there's two brown guys of all of it. You know what I mean? Like, like, what? They're called Das Racist? Like, yeah, they're a rap group. Oh, really? And it's like, yeah, they're both. I don't know if they were Indian or Middle Eastern. I don't know. But like, right? I think they were Middle Eastern.
They just said brown. Sure. Who's that? And then Show is just like Guyanese and loving it. He's like, that's me.
He was like, yo, this is dope.
The world.
He was like, yo, this is mad dope.
I'm at the Taco Bell. I'm at the combination Pizza Hut
and Taco Bell. Yo, that was that song forever, man.
Yeah, and then anytime we had to like put it on as we went through the drive-thru.
Yeah.
You know? Like I literally isn't it funny like how much being literal was hilarious when you were younger?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like I'm
absolutely.
literally at the Pizza Hut Taco Bell combination, listening
playing combination.
Yeah,
Pizza Hut Taco Bell, like
playing combination Pizza Hut Taco Bell.
That's amazing.
But so then what was the moment where you turned around? Like, was there a trigger? Was there a catalyst?
Yes, and hold on, let me grab. I feel like I should grab something for this. I feel like I should have a visual element that people could see.
It'll draw them to the YouTube.
Actually,
I do that a lot. Like I'll be listening to Rogan or something like that. And they'll be talking about something, and they're just talking about it. So they don't care about the listeners. I'm like, shit, I should go to YouTube. And now they have a play and a listen. And it's for me. So their numbers are just ticking up, but it's all just one person. Like me everywhere.
I'll just throw this little version of him in the screen.
Yeah.
But like my little dude, this is people out there. This is my logo. His face. It's just his face is the logo.
Go to the Temple Wellness YouTube and look up the Temple Podcast folder and see the interview. That's me. With fire shooting out of you.
Yeah, it says that's me or something. Yeah. I started drawing. First off, I started drawing again. And I didn't for you to ask me like, was there a moment? I don't know when that moment happened. I just knew that at some point I was drawing this tiny person, and I was drawing this tiny person, and he was sad. He was sad as hell. I distinctly remember I drew an image of him on a park bench with an ice cream cone in his hand, but the ice cream had fallen on the floor, and
I
there was
think
a
you
pigeon.
showed me that. I think you
Yeah.
posted like that on your story or something.
Yeah, I think so. But like a pigeon was like pecking at it or something.
Mm.
But it was like the whole feel of it was like, yeah, this dude's life sucks. And this dude's life sucks, and he's so upset about it. Like he wishes it could be better, but it's just everything just sucks.
But
right
it's
now.
not. Yeah.
Right, and the more I just kept drawing him. I just kept drawing him over and over and over, and I didn't know why. Like, I had no idea why. I just knew that I was drawing this character, and that I had done like 4 or 5 versions of him, and they were all sad. But then I also realized, oh shit, he's sad. And I said, am I sad? And that's what made me go, oh, I'm sad. I should do something about that. And I started thinking to myself, like, okay, I'm in this dark place. What is this dark place? Like, because I was just there. I just had this big weight on me, and I felt like everything sucked. But I'm like, why? What is this place really? And I felt like at that moment, I took a step back and I just looked. I stopped talking. I stopped thinking. I stopped a lot of stuff. I just looked around. I just shut up and I looked around. And it was dark, but it wasn't empty. It was full. There was a lot of things there in the dark with me. There were old feelings for people. There was my parents. There were, everything I've ever felt about my art and myself. There were all these connections that I had made that I cherished, but maybe the other person didn't. There were all these structures that had been built around this persona that I was. And then I realized, oh, am I a persona? How did that happen? Wait. So who am I? Like, who's me? Like, what is that person? Because that person is sad right now. And I know that they're more than sad. So let's figure some more stuff out. And I feel like I spoke to my dark side for the first time ever. Like, I had just been ignoring the negative aspects of myself for a very long time. I just pretended they didn't exist. I just kept it up and kept it going and kept doing nonsense. Just, hey, I said this mean thing to myself in my head. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Why did I say that? Hey, self, why did you say that about yourself? Where does that come from? No, go ahead, keep doing it, because you're not going to stop doing it until you're done doing it. But why? Tell me why. That's what I want to know. And so progressively, I realized that this little character that I was drawing, at first I was like, this is me, but it wasn't me. It was a piece of me. So I consider him my heart. He's literally my emotions and my feelings, because I wasn't connecting to those. I was just meandering through life, not really doing anything, not really feeling my feelings as I hit milestones, as things happened, as I achieved things. I've done some kind of wild stuff. I was one of many openers for a Wyclef Jean concert at South by Southwest one year. What? I freestyled. I didn't even write. I didn't like. That's
Jesus
how much
Christ,
I did. That's how much I
too.
That's how much I didn't care about this. I'm about to perform, and Wyclef Jean might be watching me, and I just went up and said whatever and walked off. Like, that's how much I didn't give a shit. Like, this is someone who, in a blink, could have been like, you're talented, I want to work with you on something. And I was like, whatever. And then not even just him. There were like producers and other artists and people who ran venues. There were so many people in that space who I could connect with, and I did connect with some of them, but not anywhere near the level that I could have.
Just like, oh, hey, nice guy. Yeah.
Because he was cool. Because I didn't care. Because it didn't mean anything to me in the moment. It wasn't real to me in the moment because I wasn't real in the moment.
Right.
I wasn't paying attention to how I actually felt in the moment.
I think more egoically rather than like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I can tell somebody I met this cool person. Like, It's going to be a good story. This will definitely get me laid. You know, like one of those.
but then not even that. Like, not even me going like, oh, this will definitely get me laid. More like, oh, wow, this is cool.
Yeah.
And then it's there, you know, and that's where it is. And then like I'll bring up that story if someone was like, oh my God, I love Wyclef Jean. I'll be like, oh, I met him once. They'll be like, really? And I'll be like, yeah, I performed at this thing. Yeah, I have a blurred picture with him. It was pretty cool. And they'll be like, are you serious? Like, you tell me more. And I'm like, it's not much more. Like
that's really it. Do you feel that at the time it was because you felt like you didn't deserve that success, so you held yourself back from it?
I think that was a part of it. I think that was a big part of it. I think I was punishing myself for a really long time for a lot of different things, whether they were my fault or not. But I think I'm really hard on myself. So I think when certain opportunities present themselves, I think two things. I think I'm very hard on myself, but I also think I'm very cautious about things. So on the one hand, if I think that I don't deserve something, I'm not going to try as hard. If I think that, and this is a big thing that I recently got over, honestly, if I think that other people might be hurt or offended by my success, I will succeed less. You know, like I will put myself in a position to not go as hard, to not put as much effort into something if it means that the people around me will feel more comfortable, you know, being around me.
Right.
And yeah, I stopped doing that very recently, you know, but I did that before. You know, I could have, you know, like I did a lot of music for a while for a lot of different people in a lot of different groups. And I might have like, you know, they might play a beat and I'll be like, yo, I can think of a chorus or I can think of a crazy verse or, you know, just like a cool bridge. And I'll keep it to myself because I'll say like, instead of, you know, I don't want to step on anybody's toes. I don't want to like bruise anybody's ego. I don't want to be the guy who always has something to say or always like, you know, bring something up when, you know, there's a whole group of people like, hey, no, you guys like participate or whatever. And, you know, there were times where, hey, the song wasn't as good as it could have been, you know, because I held something back. And, you know, so it's like, hey, I like that we made something together, but I'm not going to bump it in my car. You know, I'm not going to tell a bunch of people about it. I'm not going to tell a bunch of people, hey, you got to listen to this because it's so good, because it's not so good. It's just kind of in the middle, or it's just kind of some cool stuff that I do with my friends, but it's not amazing because I didn't put my words in there to make it amazing. I didn't push everybody or challenge everybody harder because I know that some people don't like to be challenged. But what I realize now is like, no, like I am the person who wants to challenge. I want a challenge myself. And that's just the way that I operate. So while I am considerate of people who are not ready for those things, or considerate of people who, you know, are just, you know, trying to chill and, you know, stay at like this level, like I am not trying to do that. So I find that surrounding myself with people who do want to go hard and who do go hard a lot, like thank God, like the company that I work with, like those guys go in, you know, and they try hard and they love my art and they love that I can do what I do. And, you know, when I tell them I have an idea, they're like, do it. You know, and they leave it at that. And
you get to be you, which I think is the most important thing. You get to be yourself. You have to be true to who you are, or you're not going to be a full version of yourself.
Right. And it's terrifying. But I realized that it's only terrifying because I haven't done it in so long. I used to do it all the time. Like, I legit used to do it all the time. Like, you've seen that person. Like you specifically have seen that person.
I admired that person. You know what I mean? Very much. Like there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that our friendship has taught me. You know, there's a lot of things that how you have conducted yourself through the years. I thought to myself like, well, you know, like he's doing all this shit. Like what? And he operates with less a lot of the times. Like I would have better paying jobs than you. And I would feel like,
Facts.
I had less than you still because you lived this life, or just
Dude.
made experiences happen, or had the confidence to step out there. And I was like, fuck that. I want to be that person, you know? And then I put the years that I put into Mutiny definitely helped and changed that. You know, like Mutiny Abroad was a band that taught me a lot, but I also got faced with the decision of like, did I want to be a rock star, or did I want to be a martial artist? And I had to pick martial arts because I had something to finish. You know what I mean? And it's a lifelong journey. And really what it is to build something that I can then go for later. And also I was, participating in things that I shouldn't have been participating in, that were not in line with who I really am, So, and showed parts of me that I didn't like, and I was depressed, and then that's when you end up in situations where you're not respecting yourself, when you end up with somebody who doesn't respect you, or breaking the heart of somebody who does. You know what I mean? Man. Like, you end up in situations where you punish yourself, or where you are punished by others, or you're just, I remember I talk about how I suck all the time, how my technique needs to be better. Like, I would post this video. I would post this video, but it looks like shit, or this doesn't look good, or, and then Jen will yell at me and be like, but it's where you are. You know what I mean? It's where you are. It looks good compared to somebody who doesn't fucking do it. Have the confidence to just put it out there.
Right.
You know what I mean? If it's your best, then do it.
And it's your best right now. Like, it's your best right now. Everything that you said about being better, do it. Do it. Saying it doesn't mean anything. Doing it means everything. So, go ahead, say it. Post the video, say that, and then go do it. That's what I've learned. Where it's like, hey, all that judgmental shit you say about yourself, all that, doubt and whatever, take that and apply it. Take it and apply it. That's what I learned from my dark side. Are You Dying as a brand is about balance in a lot of ways, but one thing that I really want people to understand is like, hey, that shitty side of yourself, it's shitty for a reason. It's not just shitty. Like, negative is not evil. Negative and evil are two completely different things. Negative is a form of energy that is coming with some pain and some weight. That's negativity.
Right.
But negativity is still looking for balance. Negativity is still looking to find that center point where it can be in flow with everything else that's going on. Negativity looks at positivity and it is envious. Like, that's what that is.
Right.
Negativity isn't evil. Negativity isn't hurting someone on purpose because you like it. Negativity is, this is the only way I know how to speak. You know what I mean? Like, so then you have to learn how to speak something else so you can feel that balance. So you can say what you want to say, but then also have the balance between the two sides where you're not hurting the person, but you're also getting your point across.
Right.
I realized that my negativity was very upset because my dark side was like, dude, you're not doing what you want to do. I'm miserable right now because you're not doing what you want to do. I hate everything. I hate everything that you do right now because it's not what we want to do. And it's not what we want to do, but you're also not doing it. So I'm upset. And I'm going to make your life a living hell until you do what you want to do. That was my dark side.
Right. And then that negativity like takes over and breathes fire on everything so that you can realize that you have to bring balance back into your life.
Right. My dark side is angry. There's a lot of anger in it. There's a lot of rage.
Yep. I feel that.
There's a lot of distrust. There's a lot of overprotection. There's a lot of, I realize that there have been a lot of times in my life where I might not have lashed out, in action or aggressively in any like specific anything, but I lashed out emotionally in ways. I lashed out in withholding my time and my effort from people. I lashed out in withholding my presence from people. I lashed out by not loving people as much as I could. And I went hard on that in a couple situations that really shaped the way the rest of my life went. And I think about them now and I go, I could have handled that better. You know, I could have done things or said things or facilitated situations that would have been more positive for both sides. And I didn't do that. I didn't know how to at the time, so I don't fault myself too much for it. I didn't know what to say or how to say it. I didn't have the experience, you know. Sometimes you do have to fall on your fucking face before you realize that your feet are what you're supposed to be standing on. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and it took me a while, you know, it took me a couple hits, you know, to really start understanding why it is I cared about things the way that I cared about them. You know, I still cared about them when I did. I just didn't know how to communicate that feeling, and I communicated it wrong, and it caused problems. So in learning this balance, I realized that this is a conversation that I'm having. It's not my dark side saying all these things and then I just sit here and listen to it. No, my dark side is saying, hey, you're a piece of shit. And my response needs to be, okay, but I'm not, though. Like, my response needs to be, all right, so how do we do this better? Like, my response needs to be, like, why are you saying that? What is it that I'm not doing that's making you say that? Like,
that is the difference, though.
Right.
Like that's the difference between falling in that dark side and then learning your lesson, and then that's why this show exists, just so that people can tell their stories and people can kind of learn how to pull their heads out of their asses, because you got to do it for yourself. You have to do it for yourself. Nobody can do it for you.
It only works if you do it for yourself. You can be inspired by other people. Other people can tell you things and say things to you that inspire you to do better, that inspire you to move forward. You can have experience with people that make you, in your own mind, think things that make you want to be better. But at the end of the day, you are deciding for you what you are going to do with you. Like, no one else is doing that for you. You get up in the morning to do something. You decide to go to that class and learn that thing. You decide to apply to that new job. You decide to go extra hard on this project. No one else does it for you. You do. Yeah. And it's a lot of pressure sometimes to actually put that effort into the thing. But once you're doing it, you're happy. Once you're doing it, and once you start getting used to doing it and you enter that flow state where you're just in it, suddenly it's like you get to a point where you're like, what else would I have been doing? Like, it's not any different than breathing. It's not any different than drinking water or eating food. It's part of you now. And then you can do that with your negative state. You're doubting yourself and calling yourself names and never trusting anyone ever. Yeah, you can make that as easy as breathing. Or you can put effort into finding the balance between those two things and find out that, hey, all those bad things you say about themselves, there are answers to those things, and you can answer back, and you can set the tone for your life and how you want you can tell your dark side to shut the fuck up and be better than it. And what's your dark side going to say? Nothing. When you prove it wrong. And maybe later it'll say some new shit that you never heard before, and you didn't know that you had a problem with that thing. And now that's your new thing that you have to get over, that you have to succeed against that side too.
Like, all your negative self-talk is a coping mechanism to something else that's going on inside. Exactly. That you then have to face yourself in order to get to the bottom of what exactly is causing that. And then you can, like you're saying, prove your dark side wrong by going inside, by going internal, learning about you, and then changing that self-talk and changing those definitions and changing those things that you believe about yourself so that you can have a better outcome.
Right. And then the funny part of it all is that you talk about yin and yang, and, you know, we famously say that, you know, in the two sides is a little bit of the other, you know?
Right. Exactly.
And what I realized, there was an arc. It was me having this conversation with my dark side and learning all these things and setting out on this journey to fix everything, right? Mm-hmm. And as I was fixing things, as I was learning things about myself, as I was beginning to communicate better with people and really show my heart to people in a lot of ways, I tilted too much to the other side. I got too positive. I got too caring. I got too this. I got too ingrained into the fixing of everything. Because
I can attest. I went
dude,
there too.
you go so hard on the positive side that you create problems over there too. You put yourself in situations where your ego starts guiding everything that you're doing.
Yep.
Because you know that your intentions are good. So because you know that your intentions are good, you believe everything you say, which is bullshit. You can't do that either.
I'm wrong more than I'm right.
You can't do that either. You have to doubt yourself sometimes because you're human. You're not going to do everything perfect. You're not going to get everything right, and you don't know everything. So you have to move through life knowing that you don't know everything. And if you get too positive, if you get too trusting, if you get too naive, then you'll botch everything. You'll drop the ball every time because you'll think, oh, I have enough time. You'll think, I got this. Oh, they're going to be fine with this thing that I do without asking them. You start putting yourselves in positions to positively ruin people's lives and positively ruin your own life. And
what people end up doing, I feel a lot of times, is ping-ponging between the two.
Exactly.
And then they don't realize that you have to just like float and find balance in the middle.
You're going to find this. And hey, you're going to tilt. You're going to tilt. That always happens. Because some situations require you to be more positive. Some situations require you to be more negative. In the last year, the amount of people who have said, hey, let's do this. And I said, no. Straight up, just no. I'm not going to do that. It's not on my path. I don't want to do it. Or just, I don't like you that much. Hey, it's real. It doesn't not exist. It's okay to not like somebody that much. It's okay for the people you hang out with to not be your best fucking friend. It's okay for the girl you kind of like to not be your girlfriend forever. It's okay because it's part of your path. You know what I mean? Right. Not everything that you do has to be the thing that now defines you. It's okay to live somewhere for a little bit. And it's okay to visit. And it's okay to never fucking go ever because you don't want to. It's okay because that's people. That's who you are. Hey, for all intents and purposes, you don't ever have to be anywhere ever. You know what I mean?
Right.
But then also, in the same breath of me saying that, there are places that you should probably be. You know,
just have to be true to yourself. That's what it all boils down to. Just being true to yourself.
It is what it is, but you have to keep that balance between self and reality. You are you, and you are a brain and a body trying to figure stuff out. Hey, we all know that that's what you are, and you're doing it.
We're weird brain octopuses that have this meat suit that we walk around in.
And that's what we're doing, and that's what you're doing. No one's faulting you for that because literally everyone is doing the same thing. But at the same time, we're all doing it next to each other. So you do have to have some consideration for what's going on around you, and you do have to have some consideration for where you want that to go in conjunction with everybody else. Society is still society because we are all in a group together, and we should all be trying to work together to get it somewhere. There should be a goal. It shouldn't just be you not giving a shit about everybody else. It should be all of us coming together to make something happen. And in your separate life, whatever your part is in that larger thing should be making you happy. That's, I think, the ideal. That's the ideal balance, that you are doing your own thing, but by you doing your own thing, you are in conjunction helping a lot of other people around you because your thing helps people. Your thing solves problems. Your things makes somebody happy or makes somebody laugh or makes somebody, I don't know, buy your CD because it makes, you know what I mean? Whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
But
do no harm, but take no shit.
Right. Exactly. You cannot lean too far to one side. And I think we are now in a place where things are so bad that it's very enticing to be super positive. It's very enticing to be overly positive. It's very enticing to go so hard in your positivity that anyone who's not at your level of positivity is a piece of shit. Because basically all you're doing is you're reversing it. and just you're making your positivity negative.
we have to be realistic. We have to be creative, and now more than ever is a time when we realize that we have to create a society where we support each other and we can create. We're a species that has gone from creators to factory workers. You know what I mean? Like we're not meant. And I think your story proves the point that we're not meant to live that rat race. We're meant to do things that speak to our soul. And if you're speaking to your soul, you're being creative, and we need to create. That's what we're meant to do. We're meant to create and expand as a species. That's what we're meant to do.
Absolutely.
Do you have like a? Oh, what were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say, keep that question though. I was gonna say at the same time, your dark side is also involved.
Yes.
And I think, and when I say your dark side, when I say your negative side, again, I do not mean evil. And anyone who thinks that needs to reevaluate yourself. It is not evil. Evil is evil and good is good. That never changes. Throughout history, it never changes. Doesn't matter. If someone's evil, they're evil, and everybody knows it.
It's not a question of morality. It's a question. I think what you're trying to describe is more so like you have the good angel and the bad angel.
Right, exactly.
Like the bad angel will be like, hey, that guy needs to get hit in the face. And like the good angel will be like, don't hit people, Vance. It's not the answer.
Right.
But at a certain point in time, you might need to hit somebody in the face.
You might need to hit somebody in the face because it's real. Because they might be intruding on your safety. They might be intruding on somebody else's safety. They might be putting you specifically, or the people around you, or some form of society in a position that you all are going to suffer for their actions. And I think that person should be stopped. And I don't think that there's a question to that. And I don't think that my positivity of, benefit of the doubt or all of that stuff should get in the way of that, because I think that thing still needs to stop.
And the example would be like, the example would be like pacifism versus warmongering. Would be like warmongering would be too far on what you're saying is the negative side, and pacifism would be feeding into the positivity to an extent that is out of balance.
Right, you just get rolled over because you we're not going to fight. Okay, well now you guys are all dead because the people who want to fight just killed all of you. So there it goes. You know what I mean? Like there has to be something in the middle. Like there has to be a balance of, we're going to stand up for ourselves when the time comes for it, but also we're not going to cause problems when they're unnecessary. Like you have to live there, and that's the place that I think that I try to stay in most of the time. And I tell my dark side to shut the fuck up a lot, because like I said, there's a lot of rage and anger there where people will say certain things to me,
and that's just more things that change the balance. They're like little bombs that go off that change where things are displaced, and you have to just go in there and diffuse and remove. Right.
My dark side is looking at me like.
Do you have an in conclusion for anybody who's listening? We're going on hour 3, and the phone's gonna die. Guys, anybody who's listening, I am sorry, because we could do this until like 6 o'clock in the morning.
We could literally do this all day.
All night. We have to get together in person very, very soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of these weekends coming up while it's still warm, we should probably go up. I'll meet. I'll bring Jen. We'll find some place, go eat, get some. Do something
you
like that.
Like you got Corona, so let's do it.
Okay. Some adult shit. You know what I mean? No, I'm symptom free. But all right, guys. So, if you have an in conclusion for everybody.
In conclusion, at the end of the day, I just realized how much power we as people have every day. There's no point that you don't have all of the power in the world in your hand. It's just how much of it are you going to use? How much effort are you going to put into making your life better? And how much effort are you going to put into making everybody else's life better? Because people act like that's not a thing, and it is. You're allowed to be a good person. You're allowed to be a hero. You're allowed to go super hard doing things that make other people's lives better. You're allowed to go super hard making your life better. You're allowed to do both of those things, but there should be a balance, because that's what's going to move everything forward. And that's what's going to move everything forward in a way that actually gets us what we need, and that actually gets us as a species somewhere that isn't just beating each other to death all the time with different weapons, essentially.
Yeah.
That's it.
Be them verbal or physical with different weapons holding us back and beating us down. Exactly.
So all I would say is,
we're all just one species. We're all just one people living on this rock together.
And we got to find the balance. And there is a balance. It exists, but it only happens if we try. It only happens if we put the work in and we make it happen. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter what religion you have. It doesn't matter any of the things. None of those matters in the first place, because before you knew who those people were, it didn't matter. Guess what? It still doesn't matter. Guess what? It still doesn't matter. So shut up and live your life. And
I think that's a beautiful conclusion.
Put the work in.
Shut up and live your life.
Shut up and live your life.
Shut up and live your life.
Put the damn work in, you lazy shit.
I'm putting it on a t-shirt. Dude, it was beautiful talking to you. Thank you so much for doing the show and for being recorded and having this is a regular conversation.
This is a regular conversation.
Yeah,
between me
this is honestly normally how it goes. Like anytime we hang out, this is what people are in store for.
Dude,
and they're
course,
just like
man.
gonna be privy. But yeah, let's set up getting together soon and we can do this again.
Yeah, dude.
We can do this again whenever you want. So,
dude, have me on as many episodes as you need. If somebody drops out,
you're gonna be my Duncan Trussell. We're gonna get whacked and talk about the universe. That's what we're gonna do. That's gonna be the episodes.
People are gonna find out about wine and cheese the right way.
Oh my god, we haven't brought that up once this whole time.
Not even once.
Wine and cheese.
Great.
Yeah.
Part 2.
We got more.
People will see.
Stay tuned for Wine and Cheese. So guys, at Captain Logic on Instagram, go check out his stuff. Buy his paintings, get his artwork, even just check out his artwork, dude. It's really awesome. Nobu on SoundCloud.
It's still Logic Thompson though. It's still Logic Thompson. It's still Logic Thompson on SoundCloud.
All right, and guys, templewellness.net is going to be the hub for the business. There's links everywhere. You go to templewellness.net, top right corner. There's a link to my Linktree, which is going to give you links to the YouTube, both my Instagrams, my personal Instagram and the business, my teacher's website, anything you would need to know about the Kung Fu School or anything about, booking appointments with massage, getting on the show, getting in contact with me, and to donate to the show. If you like what you see, if you like what you hear, if you want to donate to the show and help us live our lives a little bit better, the Cash App code is $TempleLMT11 and the Venmo is at Temple dash wellness. That's Temple dash wellness on Venmo if you guys want to donate to the show. So thank you so much, Logic. Beautiful talking to you again.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for doing this, my dude. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah. We'll keep in touch and let's figure out probably not this weekend, but the next one. We'll figure something out. And this episode is going to be out on Friday. So
okay, cool.
You can start plugging the website and plugging the podcast and everything like that.
Send me the video. I'll clip some of it and post it.
Oh yeah. I'll send you the iMovie. I'll send you the raw file when I'm done editing, and I'm gonna make some clips too. So all right, dude. I'll catch you later, man. Have a good one.
Peace, man.
Peace. 5, 4, 3.